Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and call this commission meeting to order tonight. So we'll begin tonight, I should say, with a call to order and then a moment of silence. And then we'll move through our agenda. We have a number of things on our agenda. We do have a number of scheduled public hearings tonight, so I'll walk you through those and make sure that you're all aware of the process before us, because this is an official city business meeting. So with that, if you will join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, next we will have roll call.
Commissioner Robbins.
Present.
Commissioner Asasi,
Present.
Commissioner Moody,
Present.
Mayor Bliss.
Yes, and Commissioners, can I get a motion to excuse Commissioner O'Connor, Commissioner Purdue, and Commissioner Knight?
So moved.
Support?
Moved and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, it carries, and they are excused. Next, before we move to our first opportunity for public comment, and this is public comment specifically to agenda items, so items that we're going to be voting on tonight. Before we move to that, I'd like to introduce an interpreter that we have with us tonight. So if you do need assistance with interpretation services, please let us know, and we'll make sure that you have assistance. Hi, welcome.
Good evening. We're pleased to provide Spanish interpretation services. This includes interpretation during the meeting and for those who want to provide public comment. Buenas noches. Estamos complacidos de proveer servicios de interpretación en español. Esto incluye interpretación durante la reunión y para aquellos que quieran proveer comentario público. Gracias.
Thank you. All right, next that will take us to our first opportunity for public comment. So this is public comment that is specific to agenda items, so items that we're voting on tonight. So if you are here to speak on an agenda item, so it's something that we discussed earlier in one of our standing committee meetings, you're welcome to come to the podium. We ask that you share your name, the city that you live in. You'll be given up to 3 minutes to speak. And for this this public hearing, we ask that you be really explicit about what item you're speaking to. So if it's a fiscal committee 3, or CD item 4. So is anyone here to speak on agenda items? All right. You're here to speak on an agenda item or a scheduled public hearing? Agenda item? Okay. Oh, let me tell you about the public hearings. So we do have 3 scheduled public hearings. So if you are here tonight to speak on the project at 851 Fulton Street, so we have a scheduled public hearing for an obsolete property rehabilitation district application, and then also a commemorative designation for a street, Auburn Avenue. If you are here to speak on either of those 2 items, stay put until I open up those. And then if you're here to speak on anything else, that will happen at the end of the meeting during public comment. All right? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and move us along to approval of our minutes. Commissioners, can I get a motion to approve our minutes from our last regular session on October 24th?
So moved?
Support.
All right, moved and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. All right, next that will take us to petitions and communications.
The first one is a communication received regarding pensions.
All right, that's received and filed.
Second is a communication received from Mary Nalbuck, Cultivating Clarity Incorporated regarding My Place Bar.
That is received and filed.
Communication received from Cheryl Melblom expressing support for the proposed commemorative designation of Auburn Avenue as Sekou Smith Way.
That is received and filed.
Several communications, approximately 375 plus, received urging the City Commission to fund community needs, not provide military aid to Israel.
That is received and filed.
Communications 3 received expressing support for the proposed commemorative designation of Auburn Avenue as Sekou Smith Way.
And that is also received and filed. And that's what we'll have a public hearing on later on. Next, that will take us to reports of city officers.
First one is the Comptroller's report for the period of October 11, 2023 through October 31, 2023 in the amount of $45,310,192.10.
That is received and filed.
And the Treasurer's report for the period of October 25, 2023 through November 1, 2023.
And that is also received and filed. All right, Commissioners, that will take us to our consent agenda. So our consent agenda are items that we voted on earlier today in one of our standing committee meetings where there was a unanimous vote. So tonight, with one voice vote, we'll adopt those items. Commissioners, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support?
All right, moved and supported. Any additional questions or comments? All right, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. All right, that will take us to ordinances to be adopted, and we have one ordinance before us tonight.
Proposed modification for fiscal year 24 budget ordinance number 5.
All right, can I get a motion?
So moved?
Do I have support? Thank you. Moved and supported. Commissioner Asasi, who chaired our fiscal committee today, can you tell us about this item?
Yes, Mayor. We have about 6 items. First is the fire department for the acquisition of 850 Panel Avenue Northwest. So this is to recognize and appropriate funding to the capital improvement amount in the amount of $2 million. Next is the engineering department regarding the smart city lighting control system. We talked today about a change in the control system. So about the project is about halfway done. Number 3 is Engineering Department. This is associated with the Ash Lagoon closure and stormwater pump station improvements at the wastewater recovery facility in the amount of a little over $1.6 million. For our Mobile GR Department, this is a budget amendment related to a Administrative Analyst 1 accounting to its permanent roster. Number 5 is one that we've talked about a few different times, but various personnel additions that are driven by our economic growth and capital projects. So this is economic development, our planning team, as well as our engineering team. And then the last one is, not the last one, the Police Department personal addition request. This is associated with the records unit positions, and it's an addition of 2 police record specialists. These are civilian positions to its permanent roster, and the annual estimated cost for these are at $194,942. The next one is for the Attorney's Department. Personal addition request of a legal assistant position. And then that is the last one.
All right, thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments? All right, this is a roll call vote tonight.
Commissioner Asasi?
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins?
Yes.
Commissioner Moody?
Yes.
Mayor Bliss?
Yes, it carries. And Commissioners, can I get a motion to give that immediate effect?
So moved.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. All right, next, Commissioners, we do have one City Commission resolution. It's a walk-on, so I will first need a motion to suspend the rules.
So moved. Support.
All right, moved and supported. All those in favor of suspending the rules say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. And that will take us to our one resolution that we have before us tonight.
And that is a resolution for City Commission resolution approving settlement for Hanson versus City of Grand Rapids.
All right, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. Commissioner Moody, you want to tell me about this? Tell
Yes,
us
ma'am.
about this?
Yes, ma'am, Madam Mayor. On today, November 14, 2023, the litigation matter of Nathan Hanson versus the City of Grand Rapids, Circuit Court Case Number 23-00717-IN was presented to the City Commission in the executive session. The settlement of this matter and all potential claims related thereto was recommended in the amount of $275,000 to be paid out to Mr. Nathan Hanson and to West Michigan Injury Lawyers, PLC.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioners, any questions or comments?
No.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. All right, next that will take us to our 3 scheduled public hearings. And Commissioners, with your support, I'll go ahead and combine the first 2. They're related to the same project. So I'll read these into the record, and then we'll have Mr. Klooster come up, tell us about this. I think we have some representatives from the project here with us tonight. And then if you want to be heard on this item, you're welcome to come forward. So this is these 2 public hearings, which will be combined into one, is a public hearing to consider an obsolete property rehabilitation district pursuant to PA 146 of 2000 for Full of Delaney, located at 851 Fulton Street West, and then also a public hearing to consider an application for a 12-year obsolete property rehabilitation exemption certificate pursuant to PA 146 of 2000 for the same project at 851 Fulton Street West. And the notice for this hearing was made pursuant to state law, and so as I said, we'll move it over to Mr. Klooster to tell us more about this project, see if anyone from the project wants to be heard. And then if you are here tonight to speak on this item, I'll invite you up momentarily.
Great, thank you. Good evening. So this project is, as was mentioned, located on the west side at 851 West Fulton. It's an incremental redevelopment project proposed by Full of Delaney LLC, which is affiliated with Construction Simplified. Construction Simplified has made significant investments in the west side, most recently moving their headquarters over there into a new building just down the road. So this is the next project for them, continuing that trajectory on West Fulton. The existing building is about 11,800 square feet, and it's been used over the years for commercial and light industrial purposes, but it has been vacant for some time. It has been determined by the city assessor to be functionally obsolete, which is the qualification criteria for this program. The applicants come up with a design that would repurpose this building into 8 apartments with the details shown on your screen there, 2 2-bedroom units, 4 3-bedroom units, and 2 4-bedroom units. and the overall construction costs are about $1.7 million. The applicant has submitted an inclusion plan with the details shown on your screen. About almost a quarter of the project overall committed to be subcontracted with minority-owned, women-owned, and/or micro-local subcontractors in the construction industry. So this is a pretty quick project with construction targeted to start yet this year and then hoping to be open next spring. I will invite Brent Gibson up, the owner of Construction Simplified, to talk a little bit about his project here on the west side.
Welcome, Mr. Gibson. Welcome.
Good evening, Commissioners, Manager Washington, Mayor Bliss. I won't repeat what John just said. I think some history. My original office that I started was directly next door at 859. We renovated that before we knew of such incentive programs to help burden these costs. We moved and built our new office, our $4 million investment further east. I was blessed to have the opportunity to procure this building actually last November through the gentleman that owned that for 25 years. So procured it. We tried leasing it up from a commercial perspective, and eventually with the housing crisis and seeing a good repurpose of this building, I've really put our homework in, and I think going to create something that's pretty awesome in this section of the corridor of West Fulton. So we're ready to move forward, and certainly with interest rates, construction costs, and our own abilities to do what we can do, it's tight. So any support we can be provided would be appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments? All right. I don't know if it's city clerk or city attorney. My understanding is that there's some folks downstairs because of space limitations. Can we find out if there's anyone downstairs who wants to speak on this public hearing? And if so,
Phil, you
can
check
they
that?
be allowed to come up? And then can you also ask if there's anyone who wishes to speak on the next scheduled public hearing? And if there is, can you also kind of cue them up to come on up? All right. So is there anyone here who wishes to speak on this project over on Fulton Street? All right, we'll give it just a minute to see if there's anyone downstairs who wishes to speak. Commissioners, do you have any additional questions or comments? Commissioner Robbins, this is in your ward.
Yeah, I'll just add, I'm excited to see this building being repurposed, being obsolete for a while. Housing is a huge priority of our cities, and it feels like, even projects that bring us 8 units closer to our overall goal, thus making our city more affordable is a great thing. So we appreciate your investment.
Thanks. Thank you. Do you have Phil's?
Were they together?
While we wait? Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and close this public hearing. If somebody is downstairs who wishes to be heard, we'll let them come up during the next scheduled public hearing, because I know for the next scheduled public hearing, we do have people here who wish to speak. So the next scheduled public hearing, I'm going to call up our city engineer to tell us about this item, which is related to a commemorative designation. So, Mr. Berkman?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager. The engineering department has received a request to commemoratively designate the segment of Auburn Avenue between Wealthy Street and Lake Drive as Sekou Smith Way. Members of Mr. Smith's family submitted this request, noting that he was born and raised on this block. He became a dedicated award-winning journalist and reporter that covered the Indiana Pacers and the Atlanta Hawks before joining the NBA as a multimedia reporter and on-screen analyst. His family also noted that he was a mentor to many children of our community through various programs, and he received a Distinguished Alumnus Award from Grand Rapids Community College. Mr. Smith passed away in January of 2021 due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and his family is requesting this designation in his honor. Just a few details about the process that is before you. So, if approved, Auburn Avenue would still remain the official name of the street for mailing and all other purposes. All Auburn Avenue signs would remain in place. Signs marked Sekou Smith Way would be placed underneath the Auburn Avenue signs. They would be of a different color, blue as opposed to the standard street name sign of green, to reflect the commemorative designation. All owners of properties directly abutting this portion of Auburn have been notified of tonight's public hearing by mail. And the engineering department has received emails from residents of 3 properties located along this stretch expressing their support of the commemorative designation, which has been shared with the city clerk. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions, or we'll hold until the end of the hearing.
Okay, great. Colleagues, any questions for our city engineer?
No, Mr. Bergman, I just want to thank this family for bringing this to our attention. Mr. Smith is a Grand Rapidian, graduate of our elementary and our high schools here in Grand Rapids. It is an honor to name this street after him.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So before I have people come up who want to speak on this item, I'm going to close the earlier public hearing related to the project on Fulton, and that will be referred back to our committee of the whole. And now we'll open it up. If you are here tonight to be heard on this designation for Mr. Smith, you are welcome to come forward. Again, we ask that you share your name, the city that you live in. We'll give you up to 3 minutes to speak. And then again, we ask that you take a look and respect the meeting procedures.
Okay, I see that clock, 3 minutes.
Yep. The city clerk will take care of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to try not to read too fast. But first of all, good evening, Commissioners, Mayor, City Manager Washington, and Mayor Bliss. My name is Misty Stanton, and I am one of Sekou Smith's siblings. I'm also proud to have been born and raised in Grand Rapids and continue to live and work in Michigan. I stand here before you tonight with my family, and there's a big group out here, to share part of his story.
If you want to stand, you're welcome to.
Yeah. Is that part of my time, though? Okay.
If you just want to stand to be.
Yes, I want them to be seen for sure.
Thank you.
And we are very excited and proud to share parts of his story with you, and have others that venture down Auburn Street to be proud and excited to know this is where this outstanding, accomplished, renowned journalist and a remarkable person was raised, where his journey to success started. They can also look up and potentially see the commemorative street sign and say anything is possible. Sekou was born and raised in Grand Rapids, son of Walter and Estelle Smith. He attended St. Stephen's Central High School, Grand Rapids Community College, and then transferred to the Jackson State University in Jackson, Mississippi. While his career as a sports writer, commentator, and media personality took him across the country and around the world, he will always be proud. He was always proud to be a product of Grand Rapids. He would tell people in his tall voice, because he wasn't a very tall man, "I'm from Grand Rapids." That's what he would say. Of course, since Sekou was my baby brother, I might be a little biased. Sekou was a local kid who made good, who was caring, honest, and earned respect throughout Grand Rapids and worldwide as a journalist, a commentator, and even a better person. He was dedicated, trustworthy, engaging, and hardworking. However, some of the strongest endorsement came when he passed away. Following Sekou's passing, the Atlanta Hawks named the media room after him. They also created an annual award bearing his name to recognize the player on their roster who best represented themselves and the franchise in a professional way and showed integrity when they were dealing with the media. Additionally, education has always been a priority for our family. When people from across the country asked how could we honor and remember Sekou's life and his contributions, a scholarship was established at Jackson State University. The MBA also established an internship honoring Sekou's name that will be awarded every year to a student from a historically black college. While it would be extraordinarily that's my time.
Your time's up.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, you do my other 3. Can somebody else get 3 minutes? Okay.
Yep, another person can speak. Go ahead. Yeah. So just start with, share your name and the city that you live in.
Dr. Nikki Smith, cousin of Sekou Smith. While it would be extraordinarily meaningful to my family and me to see my cousin, Misty's brother, honored through the dedication of a street name in his honor, it would be just as meaningful to see generations of Grand Rapidians inspired to chase their dreams like Sekou did. achieve excellence within their profession, make a positive difference in the lives of others and their lives as well with integrity and kindness. We appreciate your consideration of this request and am glad to answer any questions you may have. Thank you. Sekou was a great son, sibling, husband, cousin, family member, and Grand Rapidian.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Hi, my name is Charmel, and I am sister of Misty and Sekou. And the only thing that I would have to add to the wonderful words that have already been spoken is to repeat how proud Sekou was to be from Grand Rapids and to live on Auburn Street. No matter where he was in the world, he made sure to tell people he was from Grand Rapids, that he was a Ram, because he went to Central Ram, and that he always came back to give back to the children, the young people in the neighborhood, his cousins, his nieces and nephews. So this would be a tremendous honor for him, and then those of us that continue to be in this city to see him honored in this way. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for being here, and thanks for your work in bringing this forward. All right, others wish to be heard on this request? Oh, no clapping, I'm sorry.
Mayor, Commissioners, my name is Mary Alice Williams. I'm a resident of the 3rd Ward now, but for more than 40 years, our family lived in the 300 block of Auburn. Among our neighbors and friends were the family of Walter and Stella Smith, who lived mid-block at 307. They created a home in which to raise and nurture 5 children, Shamel, Misty, Eric, Sekou, and Ayana. Children who knew the stories of their culture and history, who knew whose shoulders they stood on, who knew that they too would one day be expected to make a contribution using their unique gifts and talents. And each, in his or her way, has done that. But tonight, I'm here to talk about one member of that remarkable Smith family. Much has been written and recorded about Sekou Smith, the award-winning journalist, respected for his contributions in writing, in front of the camera, and behind the scenes. But I remember an earlier Sekou, growing from infancy to young manhood on the 300 block of Auburn Avenue. I see a young boy playing, running, pulling innocent pranks, riding his bike, part of a diverse pack of neighborhood kids, at home in every backyard, front porch, and kitchen on that block, growing up with the undeniable primary influence and guidance of Walt and Stella, and also under the caring eyes of virtually every other adult on that 300 block who cared for all its children who were their village. In retrospect now, looking at today, it seems idyllic. It was a village that in some ways Sekou never left. No matter how far he traveled, how big he got, how big his world became. He carried the 300 block of Auburn with him and returned whenever he could, sometimes dropping in unexpectedly with that big smile and even bigger hug. 307 strong, he'd say, the family watchword. I join many voices asking you to create a richly deserved honorary designation of this block of Auburn Avenue to Sekou Smith, recognizing what he achieved professionally and personally through dedication to family, diligence, and creative work in his too short lifetime. But Sekou would be the first to hope that in these polarizing times, this designation would serve as a tangible reminder to other young people growing up in Grand Rapids that there are role models to emulate, dreams to dream, shoulders to stand on, and paths that lead to actual possibilities. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary Alice. All right, anyone else wishes to be heard on this public hearing? All right. Mr. Berkman, you want to come up and tell us next steps? And again, I want to thank all the family members and community members that brought this forward and worked with our team to get us here tonight.
Sure. So as I mentioned earlier, we did receive 3 additional communications that have been shared with the clerk. So the next step would be to refer this back to the Community Development Committee for consideration at their next meeting.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'll go ahead and close this public hearing. And Commissioners, I know we've also received some additional emails as well, and we'll make sure that those get to the city clerk for public record. All right, with that, that public hearing is closed. That will take us to our last opportunity for public comment tonight. So if you are here to speak on any other item, you're welcome to come forward. I'm going to ask, though, that we not block the entrance, so you don't have to come up here and stand and wait in line. If you see a few people up there, just wait till the line dwindles down a little bit before you get up, or my fire chief in the back is going to come and ask you to move and sit back down. So this opportunity for public comment is about anything else you want to share with this elected body. We do, again, ask that you share your name, the city that you live in. You'll be given up to 3 minutes to speak. We also want to remind you that this is an official city meeting, and so we ask that you respect a number of things, because we want to make sure that regardless of what you're sharing, you feel comfortable sharing that. So we ask that you be mindful and refrain from clapping or cheering or booing, using profanity, vulgar language, threats, name-calling, or making derogatory comments. Also, we ask that you direct your comments to the elected body and not to anyone who is in the audience. And then if someone is disruptive, I will ask you to stop being disruptive. If it continues, I'll ask you to leave. And that if it continues, then we will have somebody escort you out. And we will start with our public comments.
How you doing, everybody? My name is D. Jones. First off, I'd like to say I'm thankful just to be alive, thankful to be here, thankful to be able to speak. I've been doing some cool things around the community. I just wanted to update you guys on this stuff that I've been doing. So this as of recent, I was able to connect with Kent County Juvenile Services. I'm going to be developing an esports league for kids on probation and juvenile detention. I spent a lot of time in a juvenile detention and with a lot of different people from different neighborhoods, and just I'm really excited to be able to do this. I have a partnership with the NBA. They donated me 6 copies of NBA 2K24 on Next Gen, and I'll be able to develop an esports leagues for kids on probation and juvenile detention. Also, I'm going to be doing an esports competition, a $2,000 cash prize competition, completely free for the community. Anybody can sign up. I'm not biased, anything like that. And I would like anybody to sign up that wants the capacity to do it. But I'm also going to be doing this in the Burton Heights neighborhood where a lot of the violence has occurred. I had a friend that actually grew up over there in the Burton Heights area, right over there on Burton and Collins. They call it 31. So if you don't know the hood over there, I just educated you on some knowledge. Hopefully the police don't try to use that for bad. But I got some friends that actually really grew up in the hood, and I grew up in the hood, and they wanted to come here, but he's actually got his girlfriend is in labor right now, so she's about to be giving birth to a baby girl, so he couldn't be here, but he'll be here next week to speak to me about a program that he wants to develop. I've been helping guys from the hood try to develop LLCs and start their LLCs and nonprofits because they have innovative things and things that they want to do for the community, and I'm the smart guy from the hood that usually knows how to do the logistics and the legal paperwork for people to actually do business legally here in the state. And so I have a lot of cool things I've been doing. I also got to connect with Fifth Third Bank, connecting with Epic Games, who is a gaming company that made Fortnite, and we're progressing forward with the product that we're going to be developing, utilizing the game Fortnite to develop your own universe and things like that. I also got connected to a large network of 300 universities across the United States, and I got to connect them to Epic Games, and they are going to be connecting to see if we can build some educational opportunities for kids all across the United States from 300 different universities. I don't know if every university will jump on board, but I know a lot of them will, since Fortnite just had a historic day. About last Sunday, it was about 44 million people that actually competed when they actually just dropped the OG series of that, and I have direct connection to this gaming company. I also got to speak to Kent ISD. They let me know that they're going to have an esports conference next week, and also got invited to speak at the Caesars Palace in Las Vegas next year to speak about esports and gaming, and I'll also be getting an award. So I've been doing some cool things. I've been creating opportunities and developing opportunities for kids all across the United States and Kent County. I look forward to doing this work equitable, fair, and just, and for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hello, my name is Saida Valdivia. I'm from Grand Rapids, Michigan. I particularly have come here to talk about the $2.8 million that's planned to leave our city of Grand Rapids to go to fund the Israeli military as they continue the genocide and bombing against Palestinians living in the occupied territories of the Gaza Strip and the West Bank. So over 4,000 children have been killed, and it just continues to be funded through our taxpayer dollars. This is just not in line with my values, and especially as someone who works with youth, it's really important for me to support the future and the dreams of those communities, and that includes communities not just right here locally, but across the world as well. And I particularly was raised by Holland Eastern, which is actually a very underserved community. For me, it's really important that these funds instead go towards funding the things and the needs in our communities. I believe that it's really important for us to continue to do that. A couple of things that could go towards that money, that the money could go serve instead of funding the war is 334 households with public housing for a year, 979 children receiving free low-cost health care, 30 elementary school teachers, and especially that goes towards addressing the shortage staff that we have, the staffing shortage with educators, 8,016 households with solar electricity produced for a year. We know that BIPOC communities are disproportionately affected by the climate change injustice. And so 74 students with their loan debt canceled, about 2.4 million, and N95 respiratory masks to prevent the spread of COVID and flu. Also understanding that all these issues disproportionately impact BIPOC communities, and instead could be supported in funding with your support and allocation of the right funds. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. All right, others wish to be heard?
Good evening, Commissioners, Manager Washington, Mayor Bliss. My name is Mike Williams. I live at 149 Houseman. I'm here tonight, in solidarity. I absolutely do not believe that any amount of money should be leaving our city with all the needs we have as a city to fund genocide. Absolutely, full stop. But I'm here specifically, as you know, I've been moving, doing a lot of work for entheogens and psychedelic mushrooms and therapy liberation in the state. And in 2022, Grand Rapids passed a resolution saying that as a city, we support the move at the state level to decriminalize these substances. Senate Bill 499 is now in the Regulatory Affairs Committee at the state level. I would like to see Grand Rapids hold to that resolution and sign on in support, reaching out to our the members of the committee as well as our elected representatives. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Williams. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hi, my name is Diana Wallace. I am a resident of Grand Rapids. My partner and I chose to move to Michigan about 6 years ago. And we picked Grand Rapids because this was a place where we felt we could have our values espoused. This would be a place where, we could potentially raise a family. I've got a 3.5-year-old, and I'm really fucking tired right now.
We're going to ask you not to use curse words.
Sorry. This week, his child care center had to close because they don't have enough staff, right? So we're without care again. He's 3.5, so let me do the math. He's a COVID baby. We have been up and down on care throughout our time with him. On top of it, I look at him every single day, and I see every single child in Gaza that is dying. And then I look at the money that our city is spending to go and murder all of those children. And I do not know how we can continue. And if you have a soul if you are bleeding blood, if there is something in you, I ask every single one of you to stop everything you are doing and divest our funding. We have, I don't care. Go fund a new mansion. I don't care where the money goes. There's so many needs, but do not send it there. We should not be murdering people with our tax dollars. What else is there to do? We see what's happening. I don't know how else to compel you, and I hope that you are compelled. We have over 4,400 signatures that have signed on to this letter to ask every single one of you to think about this. It shouldn't take too long. It's a yes or a no. After you do that, I really hope that you're saying, yes, we're going to stop funding that. We're going to reinvest in this community. After that, you need to go to your colleagues who hold the power. We made the mistake of electing Debbie Stabenow, Gary Peters, Skolton. We won't do it again. And if we find that any of you are aligning with them as well, we will not let you hold the power anymore. Go to your peers and stop them.
So please don't interrupt when someone's speaking. Please don't interrupt.
We will no longer allow our money to go to this, and we will no longer put people in power who will do this.
Thank you for your comments. All right, we want to make sure that people can speak without being interrupted, especially if there's somebody in this audience, in this room with us tonight who wishes to speak and has a different opinion. We want to make sure that they feel comfortable coming forward. Go ahead.
Good evening. Seems like you guys are in for a long night, huh?
That's okay.
My name's Diego Galicia. I am living here in Grand Rapids, Midtown by Martha's. Here to echo what really a lot of people here are about to say, I would also like to see a commitment to have those tax dollars that come out from what we earn, what we spend, just have them not go towards funding the Israel genocide that's happening right now. I have niece and nephew back in my hometown in Shelby, Michigan, and a little brother and sister, and they're all about the age of the children who are dying every day. It's just hard to think about that being someone's kid, someone's nephew, it's someone, really. So I hope you guys just keep feeling, what we're trying to communicate to you guys with every person who's about to come up and say more or less the same thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. All right, others wish to be heard?
My name is Megan Sloterbeek. I'm a resident on the west side of Grand Rapids. Like was just said, I'm here to repeat what's being said elsewhere. We are all connected. I saw a body in pieces on my phone today, and I cannot say nothing. I grew up in Grand Rapids, and I was taught that the values here are in line with love and human flourishing. I was taught in Grand Rapids schools that we were learning never to allow another genocide, and yet we are. Public servants of Grand Rapids, I'm asking you to serve the public of Grand Rapids with our tax dollars.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
It's not a sign, it's just a picture.
All right, yep, I'm going to ask you to put that down. Even pictures are not allowed. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
My name is Barbara Howard. I live in the Second Ward, and I'm here to speak on Gaza. We've heard all the numbers and all the politics, but we don't hear much about who we're killing. The photo I was going to show you is a picture of Dr. Haman Alo with his two children, 4- and 5-year-old children. He was killed last Saturday, ironically on Armistice Day, when his family home was hit by an Israeli shell. 3 other family members died, including his father. He leaves these 2 children and his wife. He's a doctor and he works at the largest hospital in Gaza, and he refused to go south when the bomb warnings came because he could not abandon his patients. Many on life support, who couldn't go anywhere either. He's one of thousands of innocents killed and injured so far. Collective punishment, a war crime that our government is supporting and encouraging. I'm here to demand that our city tax dollars not be spent to further the crimes of the Zionist government, because I feel compelled to speak up against this so as not to be complicit in such horrific crimes. I want to say the world is watching, all of us, and we are watching all of you and what you do. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
Thank you for your comments. All right, others who wish to be heard?
Good evening. My name's Sam Tunningley. I don't know which ward I live in, to be honest with you. But I am here to unite with everyone in this room that is speaking out for Palestine and the demands of the letter. I want to remind the commissioners that there has been over 4,000 signatures on that. And I got to say, I've been miserable this past month. I have an uncle who's Palestinian. I have cousins who are half Palestinian. I've done Palestinian activism for years. I have never, ever seen something this horrific. And why are we speaking to you today? Because even though you don't hold all this power, you have a line to power, and you can follow other municipalities that have released resolutions calling for a ceasefire. I don't think this is a contentious issue anymore. I think it's a genocide, pure and simple, and I think it's going to reflect poorly on anyone who's not speaking out and standing against it. And I will also add, I love Grand Rapids, and I've never been more proud to live in Grand Rapids. We just had a vigil outside. There were over 100 people out there. We've held protests the last couple weeks with upwards of 350 people at the protests. So the Grand Rapids people, this is what they're saying to you. We want to be proud of our city. We want this resolution passed. We don't want, not just in Grand Rapids, but across the country, we don't want any more money going to this genocide. It's been a long time, 75 years that Palestinians have suffered, and we say we're not going to take it anymore. So that's all I got to say.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Hi, welcome.
Hi, my name is Owen. I'm a sophomore at Grand Valley, and I'm a member of the newly founded Students for Justice in Palestine at Grand Valley State University. Students at Grand Valley rallied to demand an end to the genocide being committed against Palestine 2 Fridays ago. And a few days later, a group of students came together and organized a petition demanding that Grand Valley State University condemn the State of Israel's bombing in Gaza. And in less than a week, this petition has gained nearly 700 signatures. It sits at 698 right now. And so it is clear that students, many of whom live, work, and study within this city, are on the side of Palestinians and on the side of liberation. So me and my fellow students who have come today to represent the Students for Justice in Palestine urge this city commission to condemn the genocide and the occupation and the mass deportation of Palestinians from their land by the State of Israel. And as a city built upon the indigenous land of the Council of the Three Fires and the Ottawa people in particular, Grand Rapids must read its history and learn to act from it now. So the City Commission needs to condemn the genocide being committed against Palestine by the State of Israel and demand that our Representative Hillary Scholten condemn the genocide. And what this City Commission fails to do, the student movement and the working class and the many united oppressed nationalities and more will commit to whether you are with us or not. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, others who wish to be heard? Hi, welcome.
One moment. Here we go. Good evening. I come here today as a student from GVSU and a concerned resident of the greater Grand Rapids area. I am concerned about the priorities of this city that I love, where it chooses to allow its resources to be sent. There is a large homeless population in Grand Rapids, and anyone who chooses to venture to the parts of this city that tourists won't go on their beer tours can see it plainly. At a certain point, when a certain number of people in your city cannot afford housing in your city, nor can they seem to find decent shelters, one has to wonder when it's time to start pointing the finger at the people who run this city. Instead, those who run the city take active steps to criminalize the unhoused, while treating them with indignity, disrespect, and a pathological lack of empathy. I wish I could say that these actions are the city government's worst actions, but alas, I would be wrong. Before even considering investing in decent community housing, a system most other developed countries destroy us in, our city decides that their priorities lie with the IDF, sending them taxpayer money for their colonialist massacre. It's poetic, in a way. When they have the money to help their homeless, they use it to pulverize the homes of others. Although I guess that isn't too fair of a comparison. Our homeless would at least be able to move out of the way. If people are starving on the streets of Grand Rapids due to inadequate housing, why should a single dollar of taxpayer money go to Netanyahu? I leave you with one more thought. When the smoke of this genocide clears, When the smoke of this genocide clears, we will soon all be able to look at these events with an objective point of view and see most clearly the destruction and brutality of Netanyahu. When that happens, the national community will not just look at his crimes, but those who funded them. I know what I say tonight will not change your minds, but when that day comes, you won't be able to outrun the shame. Take care of your homeless and end the funding to genocide. Thank you.
All right, others wish to be heard?
Hello, my name is Ivy Carmoli, and I'm a resident of the city of Grand Rapids, South Heritage Hill. Today, I am joining my comrades in speaking out against the ongoing genocide of Palestinians by Israel, aided by our local and federal governments, and to call for a public statement for an immediate ceasefire. As a community, we demand that the nearly $3 million proposed to aid Israel in their genocide instead be used to fill community needs here in Grand Rapids. Every day, I walk or drive through my own neighborhood and am disturbed by the growing unhoused population that are completely underserved by our local infrastructure. Shelters are full, the cost of living continues to rise, and as temperatures lower, there are many lives in danger within our city. If we were to use these tax dollars within our community, we'd be able to fund 334 households with public housing for a year. Rather than spending our tax dollars on death and destruction, this money could be used to give the unhoused residents of Grand Rapids the safety and dignity that every person deserves. Furthermore, the ongoing human rights violations committed by the Israeli military are unacceptable, and as a community, we refuse that these war crimes be paid for on our dollar. Our collective demands are as follows: a statement calling for an immediate ceasefire, call on Senator Peters, Senator Stabenow, and Representative Skolton to demand back the tax money that leaves Grand Rapids to fund Israel's decades-long occupation of Palestinian land and their current assault on Gaza. Let the public know what kind of response the commission receives from Peters, Stabenow, and Scholten. From the river to the sea, free Palestine.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard? Hi, welcome.
Good evening. My husband, Dan, and I, we are residents in the First Ward. And I want to reflect back on your last October 24th meeting by Commissioner Lisa Knight. Her quote was, "Your voice is important, use it. That's the only way you're going to create and see change. Utilize the voice, be active in change that affects negatively." So here we are this evening. We come before you today seeking assistance from those that run and govern our city, most importantly, Mayor Rosalind Bliss and our city manager, Mark Washington. We would like to address you two specifically because our appointed commissioners in the First Ward have failed their responsibilities to us, their constituents. I will give you a short recap. A recap as follows. This involves your planning department, which you oversee. The staffing in this department has utilized gross abuse of discretion with two situations. Situation one, we had a driveway reinstalled April 26. The department then issued a notice of zoning complaint. Quote, "We received complaint regarding possible conditions at address, which may be in violation of city code. Driveway installed without permit." Without knowing what I needed to do, I went and submitted a permit May 22. We were then issued a violation notice based off not complying to the written comments on the permit issued by Mr. Dale Fitz. His comment, "The language is not supported in your zoning ordinance. They are erroneous and arbitrary claims. We have exercised no violation of city ordinance. The only next legal defense fight we have to defend ourselves is paying $1,575 to go to the BZA process." At the conclusion of the October 19 meeting, quote, their people on the panel stated, "You don't necessarily have to agree with what they did. You just have to agree that they did the right process. Was process followed? And did we use correct sections to make the determination?" End quote. Kristen Turkelson replied, "Yeah." Such a statement is completely inappropriate and unbecoming of individuals in public office roles. Such decision actions can only be consistently and non-discriminately applied when based on objective criteria written in ordinance and policy artifacts. I have a transcription of the recording that I recorded with the BZA meeting that I would love for you to review if you would meet with us, because when those minutes become available Friday, they will not capture the full disclosure. Item number 2, I have discovered through the city zoning ordinance on my own, there is no written expression in the ordinance representing requirement of a driveway permit for such improvements. The city is filled with hundreds of driveways such as ours, if you would have replied and taken a drive by. I videotaped one 0.6 of a mile from me tonight that is even worse in the description of ours. In recap, the city planning department has bullied us. They have coerced us and used methods of intimidation, and I ask you to seek into it.
Okay, thank you. We will follow up, and if you could share your address with me, that would be appreciated.
913 Colville Ave, Northwest. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Asante, are you going to connect? Okay. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hi, can you hear me? Hi, my name is Wylan, and I'm a resident in Grand Rapids. I do not like coming down here, and I do not like speaking in public. It's a Tuesday. I should be studying and cleaning, and I'm here again to ask you to do your job and tell you what that job is. Your job is to legislate on the behalf of the people in your city. That is your job. Your job is to look out for us and speak for us and make decisions that benefit us. Yet there's suffering all around this city. If you walk outside, there are people sleeping on the street. Nobody can afford housing or childcare or groceries. Their bills. They get a third job and they give up important things. And nothing. There's nothing from you. And one second. What fixes these problems is resources, and we have come here for years to tell you that. You know that because everyone knows that. We need resources in Grand Rapids to fix these problems. This is ridiculous. Instead, you make us come here every chance you get, you make the wrong decision, and you drag your citizens down here to beg for you to have humanity. You are sending our tax dollars to Israel, who the Human Rights Watch says is committing crimes against humanity, those crimes being apartheid and persecution. This is ridiculous. You do not care about the residents of the city. We see it with our eyes, watching people sleep on the street. You do not care about the children, civilians being bombed. You do not care. If you cared, you would have called for a ceasefire already. This is ridiculous. Call for a ceasefire and get our money back here to use for our citizens. We see how you guys waste money. We see you waste money. Oh, it's affordable housing. Are you kidding me? We need actual affordable housing, not just low-income buildings that you pay your friends to build. That's ridiculous. I will never forget this decision by any of you. Netanyahu will be tried for war crimes, and Biden will be very close behind. I will always remember. I will remember each and every one of you forever. Your children, their children, will remember forever how you stood today. This is ridiculous. Your names may not be in the history books, but there will be an asterisk, and it will include you. At the Nuremberg trials, they said, we were just doing our jobs. However, you aren't even doing your jobs. So what is your excuse?
All right, others wish to be heard? Hi.
Hi, my name is Sarah, and I'm from Ada. As a human being, I have no words to express my profound disappointment in our government's support and funding for Israel's inhumane and illegal acts of genocide to the people of Gaza. Gaza stands as the largest open-air prison and concentration camp in recorded history, a disturbing reality our government should not endorse by backing those responsible for such oppression.
As a Palestinian American born and raised in Grand Rapids, the allocation of almost $3 million annually to sustain this genocide is both disheartening and infuriating. It deeply disturbs me that as a taxpayer, I am unwittingly contributing to the genocide of my own people, whether through everyday purchases or the routine commitment to my job. As an American citizen, I vehemently denounce the actions of both Israel and our government, urging for you to call for an immediate ceasefire in Palestine. It is imperative to condemn the allocation of our hard-earned tax dollars to fund this humanitarian crisis when these tax dollars could be put directly into our own communities. Together, let us advocate for justice and demand a cessation of support for actions that perpetuate such atrocities. It bears repeating. Our tax money should go into our communities, not Israel's military. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hello, my name is Skylar Rich. I'm from Midtown area. I've been a resident of Grand Rapids for 7 years. I'm here to echo what everyone has already said and to ask all of you directly to call for a ceasefire, because everyone is absolutely right. Your names will be remembered. People will ask you what you did when you saw this happening. I don't know if any of you have children, but if you do, I wonder what your response would be if it was your children that you saw losing limbs, if it was your children that you saw bloodied in the streets, if it was your children that were being murdered by a colonialist government. I'm not necessarily surprised that Grand Rapids sends $2.8 million to Israel to fund this kind of domination, to fund death-making, to fund the destruction of things that are actually what keep us safe, of things like housing, of things like true community. Again, Grand Rapids also spends over $30 million on the GRPD's budget, which has funded violence, which has funded death in our own city, while neglecting to build enough affordable housing, while putting $50 million into amphitheaters and more guns and light calls for accountability. Only $700,000 for a mental health response team that still works with the police, that still comes with people armed. So I ask that you take a hard look at yourselves and look at the money that is honestly bloodstained, that has come from all of our pockets, and put in your responsibility to find out how it's going to be spent. So the last thing I would say, besides asking for you to call for a ceasefire publicly, again, like many other local jurisdictions, many other local municipalities have done publicly, vocally. I don't know if you're afraid, or I won't assume. But to also provide more accountability for how our money is spent here in the city as well, with the GRPD's budget, with the 47-acre police training facility, a replica of Cop City that is looking to be built north of the city. I encourage you all to take a hard look at it and to fund what the community actually needs. We know what keeps us safe. We know what we need. All you have to do is ask the community members here. There's many local organizations already doing great work that keep many more people safe than the GRPD does, or than the city has been able to do. So that is all I have to say today. Free Palestine. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hello, my name is Jessica Brenner. I live in the 2nd Ward, and I'm a lifelong resident of Grand Rapids. I'm here to say that as a lifelong Grand Rapidian, I choose to not vote for people who do not share my values and do not have the people of Grand Rapids at the forefront of their mind. The people of Grand Rapids need the money that you plan to send to Israel to fund a genocide, for affordable housing, for healthcare, for mental health resources, and for so many other things. And I'm just asking for you to listen to all of our voices and to do the right thing, because I don't want to be ashamed of my city. I don't want to be ashamed of my leaders anymore. I want to be in a city that has its heart in the right place. So, thank you.
Thank you for your comments. All right, others wish to be heard?
Mayor?
Oh, I'm sorry, Chief. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Huh?
Oh, he's our fire chief.
Yep.
You're going to tell us a few things.
Fire chief here. The only thing I need tonight to keep everyone safe is we have to keep the aisles clear and the doorway clear, okay? So wait till the line goes down before you come stand up. It's just, if there's an emergency, we want everyone to be able to exit safely, okay? Aisles clear, door clear. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Hi, I'm Andra. I'm from Grand Rapids. You take my water, burn my olive trees, destroy my house, take my job, steal my land, imprison my father, kill my mother, bombard my country, starve us all, humiliate us all, but I am to blame because I shot a rocket back. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. I'm just here today to express my opposition to this city body sending resident tax money for aid in Israel. $2.8 million could help house people, help with food insecurity, help fund schools, public transportation, help seek employment. But the biggest issue is the cost of rent and cost of living right here in Grand Rapids. I don't get why you're sending money to aid in genocide when, unlike the typical city business you conduct, where you receive something in return or there's a return investment, usually from your buddies down at the Chamber of Commerce, there is no quid pro quo involved in aiding Israel and its policy of colonization and ethnic cleansing against Arabs. I stand in solidarity with the struggle for self-determination of the Palestinian people, and I also stand in solidarity with the local activists who all resist the occupation and just stand up for human rights in general. This is an issue of human rights violations and war crimes that go back 75 years. I want to do my part to raise awareness and encourage people to do their part because this isn't an issue that affects just a small group of people. Colonization affects us all. First, they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Then they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me. I also just think it's disgusting that GRPD has time to arrest a few local activists whose only intention was to speak to their state representative. As always, fuck GRPD, fuck.
All right, Andrew, your time is up. Andra, those of you who are screaming, I'm going to ask you to stop or I'm going to ask you to leave. All right, so that is considered disrupting an official city meeting. And if you do it again, I will ask you to leave. I want to make sure that people have a chance to be heard without being disrupted. All right?
Justin Adio from Grand Rapids. Well, I'm back here again. Usually when I come up here, or we're here, it's for, the normal horrors like homelessness, police brutality, you name it, polluted river, all the things that you pretend to, humor us that you care about in your smug, smirky, chirpy, phony, liberal BS. But this is an all-time low. What are you people doing? It's not your fight. You have nothing, absolutely nothing to gain by giving our tax. Our joke of a federal government gives away more than I would ever want to be given. To what? Have you gone online? Have you seen the destruction? What is your problem? Do not do this. This is wrong. There's no reason
for this. None whatsoever. Okay? None. And why? What are you gonna do? You're gonna pander to to some people who think that Israel is like God's gift to humanity? I don't know. Look, it's not worth it. This is our money. My government gives way too much of my damn money away to these criminals. Don't do it here too, please. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Others wish to be heard?
Hi, my name is Hussein and I live in Grand Rapids. I don't really have anything prepared. I am a Muslim American. I lived here through 9/11, through the Iraq War, and through the Muslim ban. I have experienced Islamophobia and racism. And in those instances, I was always feeling like I was a victim. But because of the United States government, because of people who keep sending money to Israel, I stand before you a perpetrator and an unwilling participant in the genocide of the Palestinian people that has raised to nearly 12,000 civilian casualties today. I don't know why you all believe that sending money to them is the right thing to do. And I don't think I will ever understand why Israel needs $2.8 million from Grand Rapids. And I hope you also have no idea why they need it. But from what I see, they need it to slaughter innocent men, women, and children whose only crime was trying to protect their homes and their land. And if you vote to pass this budget and send it to Israel, I hope you all know that you have given us all blood on our hands for those innocent people that are dying. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hi. Hi. Excuse me, I'm kind of losing my voice, so I'm going to try to get through this. But my name is Mimi. I'm a citizen of Grand Rapids. I would just like to join my fellow Grand Rapids citizens and reiterate the urgent call for our commissioners and representatives to make a budget amendment for the nearly $3 million that's proposed to be allocated to Israel, and for each of you to put urgent pressure on our House and Congress representatives in demanding a ceasefire in Gaza. I want to share with you some numbers as we reach the 37th day of Israel's escalated aggression on Palestinians in Gaza. According to the Ministry of Health, more than 11,100 civilians have been killed in Gaza, including more than 4,600 children, more than 40 journalists, 198 medical staff, 130 teachers and school administrators, and 102 United Nations staff. This on average is 162 children killed per day since October 7th, 2023. More than 28,000 have been injured, including 8,000 children and at least 3,000 who have been reported to be still under the rubble. The Israeli occupation forces have used U.S.-funded missiles to bomb 8 hospitals, 16 UN schools, and 50% of neighborhoods in the 25-mile-long Gaza Strip, displacing nearly 1.6 million people. I recite these numbers to remind you that Palestinians are not dying of some natural cause. There was no earthquake. They are being massacred in the tens of thousands with missiles and weapons paid for by U.S. tax dollars, including our beloved Grand Rapids. The United States sends Israel $3.4 billion each year, of which 99.7% is allocated to fund the Israeli military. I was outraged and saddened to learn that nearly $3 million of those dollars will come from Grand Rapids citizen taxpayer money. As a teacher in Grand Rapids, I know that rather than $2.8 million being used to kill children, why not spend the money to help the children in our community? Rather than $2.8 million used to bomb schools, why not put it towards supporting the schools that desperately need support in our community? Rather than $2.8 million used to fund the displacement and homelessness of at least 1.6 million Palestinians in Gaza, why not use it towards a solution for the devastating homeless population that we are facing in Grand Rapids? I hope you will find yourself in support of a budget amendment and a reallocation of this nearly $3 million to a less deadly cause. And as elected officials that are here to represent the citizens of our Grand Rapids community, I would also like to see a public statement on your behalf demanding an immediate ceasefire and urging our representatives Hillary Scholten and Senators Debbie Stabenow and Gary Peters to also call for a ceasefire now, because every innocent child, woman, and man killed today in Gaza would still be alive if we had a ceasefire yesterday. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your comments. Others wish to be heard? Hi, welcome.
Hello, Mayor Bliss. Hello, members of the commission. My name is Dan Rickabus. I'm from the northeast side of Grand Rapids. I studied history education, and I had the privilege of student teaching Grand Rapids City High School students. I met a lot of teachers within GRPS that would have just loved for there to be more funding spread out in places that we need it, that can support human need. I was so proud of the students that I taught from all walks of life as I saw them over and over witness and validate and see each other's human dignity, their human dignity as it transcends the lines of identity that would threaten to divide them, as it transcends who is governing the cultures of the human beings that they come from. History is full of stories of our American democracy funding and supporting other governments as they commit atrocities, of our own federal government committing human rights atrocities. But we're alive right now. You have a line to power right now. And what else is a society for if not to protect and lift up human dignity above all else? I do not condone one more dime of my tax money leaving our communities to fund genocide. Our city government must issue a public statement in support of ceasefire, reallocate that funding, do everything else you can. You have a line to power, and I'm just here asking you to ask yourself what you can do. And for all those who are speaking today, and for what you can do if you are willing to reallocate money, maybe as an act of protest, if that's how you look at it. And also for our community members who are standing up today, I want to quote Bayard Rustin, who organized the 1963 March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. Quote, "When an individual is protesting society's refusal to acknowledge his, her, or their dignity, this very act of protest confers dignity onto him, her, or them." Thank you.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hello, everyone. My name is Kate Pillsbury. This is my first time ever speaking at a city commission meeting. I am a resident of the 2nd Ward of Grand Rapids. I did not intend to speak today, but when I came down to the protest, I could see that there were a couple of hundred of impassioned people, and I had really been hoping that there would be a couple thousand more at least, because to me this issue seems like common sense. It seems and is true that there is a humanitarian crisis happening in Palestine, and under some false pretense of justice, we are watching the Israeli military commit atrocities and murder citizens and people who are not in alignment with those who committed the October 7th, I don't even know what to call it. After the history of Palestine and Israel, I think we as Americans should admit that we don't know very much about this crisis in general. I myself feel very uneducated on the matter, but it's easy to see in video form how many innocent people are being slaughtered. We're right down the way from Helen DeVos Children's Hospital. There are 234 beds in that hospital, which means at any given time there could be 234 families holding their children, praying that they're going to get through whatever health crisis they're getting through. And in Palestine, we've seen that people holding their dying children have been subject to bombs. They're already going through enough horrible human experiences, and they don't have the basic things like water because it's being kept from them, and medical care, and these amazing genius specialist doctors. As someone spoke earlier, a kidney specialist, it's a very rare thing. You have to go to a lot of schooling in order to become a kidney specialist. That man died. An amazing doctor can no longer help those people in that place who need that kind of service. And I'm not sure how we as Americans can see this as an act of justice. And I'm just here in solidarity with all of these people, asking you to reach inside of yourself and to find your humanity and pressure our legislative representatives to call for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza and to use the funds that we give you from our tax dollars to support our own community instead of funding the Israeli military. Thank you.
Hi, welcome.
Hello. Hi, my name is Dutcher Snedeker. I've been a lifelong resident of Grand Rapids. I'm currently 31 years old. The only time I haven't lived in the city is when I studied at Western Michigan for a master's degree in music. I've played a lot of events around the city. I know a lot of the people on the ground level who are struggling in this city. I myself have $400 in my checking, and I only have work this week, so we'll see what happens next week. But that is not to put this all on me. I'm just trying to say that my experience here, I grew up going to Grand Rapids churches. I was sponsored to go to Israel as a student by Grand Rapids Initiative for Leaders, a group that focused on, sure, there was the aspect of religion, but there was also the aspect of social justice, understanding all these different nuances, the complications of governing bodies, not just running stuff, but curtailing people's ability to even exist. And it's so difficult to articulate to people the suffering that is abject, like poverty and seeing people on the streets, but then also that gnawing feeling of not being able to know if you're going to have enough money to make it to the next month. I've lived month to month for 12 years as an artist in this city. I would like to see more money going towards education, towards arts, towards funding the people who make this city diverse and dynamic and great, and not just seeing more buildings go up in my neighborhood that continue to raise my rent. I moved in last year, a building went up just a few weeks after. I knew my rent was going to go up, and that's where a lot of us are at today. And we don't want to see the money go towards funding people getting killed. I mean, so many of us, this isn't like the old West where you're just like, oh, the Native Americans, they're crazy. We better make sure that we don't get attacked by them. We have our phones. We can see the horrors every day, hours and hours and hours of footage. We see the debate theater and the media distracting as Netanyahu continues to bomb people. And it's just so difficult to articulate that to people in a way that spurs action, because at the end of the day, I have a lot to lose speaking publicly. I advertise where I go every week for my job, but people who make the decisions can disappear, and that's what we don't want to see. We want to see people active and supporting this community with dollars. So that's all I ask, is please spend the money for this community. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hello. My name is Hannah Schroeder, and I live in the Creston neighborhood. I just want to stand in support of what everybody else has said tonight, and say that I do not support the city of Grand Rapids for using our tax dollars to fund the Israeli military and the genocide of Palestinian people. I would like to see my tax dollars instead go towards affordable housing, resources for unhoused people, sustainability efforts, protecting the land that we're on and the people that occupy this land, and supporting BIPOC organizations and funding the full diverse spectrum of the arts from local artists. I would also like to see you all put pressure on our senators Stabenow and Peters and Representative Scholten to support an immediate ceasefire. We've seen polls that a majority of Americans, regardless of political stance, support a ceasefire, and I would like to see our government choose to side with and take care of its people, like this country has preached that it does with its so-called democracy. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Patul Kutma. I'm a Syrian-American resident of Grand Rapids, and it is due to the genocide happening in Gaza right now that I'm here to address you. To ask for your support for a ceasefire and divest money given to Israel and instead put it towards this community. There's a lot of misinformation, so I like to start with the facts first. From what has occurred since October 7th. There are around 2.2 million people living in Gaza, and around half are children. And there are 1.6 million internally displaced residents, which is 72% of the population. Over 11,000 Palestinians have been murdered by Israel in Gaza alone, and of those, 46,000 are children. Over 3,000 are women, around 200 medical staff, 130 teachers, 40 journalists, and 102 are UN staff. More than 28,000 people have been injured, and including of this, 8,600 children. In addition, 21 out of 35 hospitals are out of service, which is about 60%. Let me repeat that. 60% of hospitals are out of service. Most of them destroyed. No fuel, no energy, no tools. They've had to use vinegar as a form of cleansing because they no longer have the tools necessary. More than 3,250 people are still stuck or missing under the rubble, assumed to be dead. And 50 entire families have been killed. This means that no one remains from their family. No bloodline continues from that family. More than 50% of homes in Gaza have been destroyed or damaged, and at least 73 churches and mosques have been destroyed, one of which was the St. Porphyrius Church, which was the third oldest church in the world. Emphasis on the word was, because it no longer exists. Just like Gaza and Palestine, Israel has been trying to wipe out all of Palestine. Almost 300 education facilities have been damaged. More than 25,000 tons of explosives have been dropped on Gaza since October 7th. And for reference, 15,000 tons were dropped on Hiroshima. So this is 1.7 more tons than Hiroshima, and it's also the equivalent of 2 nuclear bombs. Israel has also used prohibited weapons such as white phosphorus and cluster bombs. For the sake of time, I'm here. I want to repeat what I'm asking for and what we all are. Number one is to make a public statement in favor of ceasefire in Gaza and the West Bank. I understand there are limitations, but I ask you to look into this, to learn more, and to demand a ceasefire from our representatives and congressmen and senators, because we want to be on the right side of history and make sure no one's death is on our hands and our tax money. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your comments. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hello, my name is Haley. I live in the 2nd Ward. I am here today to stand in solidarity and support for Palestine. The U.S. sends over $3.8 billion, with a B, of our hard-earned taxpayer dollars to Israel for military purposes. As many people have already said, $2.8 million of that money comes from Grand Rapids. Like others said, that money could be used for so many other things such as housing, education, parks, harm reduction, and mental health, just to name a few. Grand Rapids should not stay silent about the genocide happening to the Palestinian people. The citizens of Grand Rapids demand the following. 1, make a public statement in favor of a ceasefire in Gaza and the West Bank as specified by the UN General Assembly's resolution made on October 27, 2023. 2, to contact Senators Gary Peters and Debbie Stabenow, along with Representative Hillary Scholten, to demand the tax money that leaves Grand Rapids to fund Israel's decades-long occupation of Palestinian land and the current assault on Gaza. That money should stay in Grand Rapids so we can fund critically urgent community needs. And 3, to communicate with the public what kind of response you received from Peters, Stabenow, and Scholten. If you stay silent about what's happening, you are complicit. Be on the right side of history. I know we are a city, but we are the 2nd biggest city in Michigan. You can pressure people. You have power. Call for a ceasefire.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Hello, Tyler from the 2nd Ward. I come here today to stand in solidarity with the people of Palestine and to echo the voices of our comrades. We are here with 3 simple demands for you, and I'll repeat them again. Make a public statement in favor of a ceasefire in Gaza and the West Bank as specified by the UN General Assembly's resolution made on October 27, 2023. 2, to contact Senator Gary Peters and Debbie Stabenow, along with Representative Hillary Scholten, to demand back the tax money that leaves Grand Rapids to fund Israel's decade-long occupation of Palestine's land and the current assault in Gaza. That money should stay in Grand Rapids so we can fund critically urgent community needs. 3, to communicate with the public what kind of response you receive from Peters, Strovenau, and Skolton. $2.8 million of our tax money is being used to fund genocide in Palestine. Military aid to Israel needs to be stopped now. We don't want another dollar of our hard-earned money to be spent on this war. This money should be kept within our community and spent to help people rather than killing people. Our city is facing many issues that an extra $2.8 million could help solve. Housing insecurity, food insecurity, mental health, poor pedestrian and bike infrastructure, and so many more. We strongly urge you to hear these demands and to stand on the right side of history. Free Palestine, end the genocide now.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hello, my name is Rhea Ellsworth. Greetings, City Attorney and the Commissioners, Mayor Bliss. I'm also here to state my wishes that as a member of Grand Rapids, that Grand Rapids not send that $2.8 million to continue the funding of this genocide. We need to see to it that as a small city, I grew up out on the West Coast, but Michigan has a large foot in the industries, in science and tech, and in the artillery sectors. So Michigan's statement is being watched by everyone. And while it is easy for those of you here on the panel and all of us to look at these videos and shut our phones down and turn it off, for many others, this is constant until they're no longer on this, in this living and physical plane. So for many others, right now, this isn't even an option. So I stand to ask that you utilize what you have and the positions that the people have voted you into to stand correct and to stop funding genocide in Gaza and West Bank, in Congo, Somalia, and of all and any indigenous peoples around the world and here, right here within Michigan. Instead, repeal the ordinances against the unhoused, fund the housing, therapy, and regenerative programs that have been shut down. And yes, police violence is a crime from Grand Rapids to Palestine. There has already been the beginning of a tribunal called the Merchants of Death War Crimes Tribunal. It began November 12th, 2023, and the World Court is hearing on behalf of Gaza, and initially that tribunal was to cover the atrocities that the United States participated in Afghanistan and in Iraq. But because of what's going on now, they decided to focus on this issue and genocide that's happening right now in Gaza and the West Bank. So the United States will be held accountable. And we all know that it has been said, treat others as you want to be treated. As you sow, so shall you reap. If you fund this genocide, you're calling it to yourself, to your people, to your city, to your state, to our land here. And I cannot see any more financing of this. There's no justification whatsoever, and we must make a stand.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your comments. All right, others wish to be heard?
Oops, sorry. Hi, my name is Sejan, and I was born and raised here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I'm a Palestinian American, and I was born and raised here. And I'm here to speak on behalf of the genocide of the Palestinians. I want to start with a story for you. My grandfather was expelled in 1948 from Palestine, and his family during the first Nakba. Him and his family, including his pregnant mother, walked to Iraq to continue to settle in Jordan. He was 15 at the time. He watched his cousin shot in the street. His father was burned alive by Israelis. Today, 75 years later, I'm watching on live stream what my grandfather experienced. My grandfather became a citizen of this country to have a better life, but now my tax dollars are funding the continued killing of the Palestinian people. Israel is an occupation country that explicitly showing the world its apartheid and its genocide. People say Gaza is an open-air prison, but I want to be mindful with you that word choice is very important. An open-air prison means that you had to have committed a crime, that within that territory you must have committed something, that it's a prison. However, these individuals, they didn't commit a crime. They're hostages. The Palestinian people, we're being threatened every day by the Israeli government. We continue to speak about Gaza, but let me remind you of the West Bank. There's no threat in the West Bank. Palestinians are being kicked out of their homes, killed, and under control of second-class citizens. Our tax dollars are not only funding the genocide, but settler colonization of the remaining Palestinians. Our tax dollars are funding the free education in Israel, the free health care in Israel, and the apartheid, occupation, and extermination of the Palestinian people. And I'm asking you to learn the history, the UN resolutions that were instated and call for a ceasefire. This isn't about a terror threat. It's about the dehumanization of a population to have money and power. I didn't know that I would come up here and speak today, but I do want you to go back to your humanity and to recognize inside of your heart, if you were in Gaza, if you were a Palestinian, if you were a person of color, what that would be like to be in that state, to understand that you can't see your family, to go from the West Bank to Gaza, it's nearly impossible. That this isn't about a terrorist threat. It's a long-standing history of 75 years of the Palestinian people continuing to resist to have free rights. It's not about their land, it's to just live as human beings on this earth. And I hope you can look at me today and understand I would have been one of those people if my grandfather didn't leave 75 years ago, and my grandmother who's sitting over there, that her grandfather didn't leave. So I hope you can understand. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Joe. I live on the northwest side. I don't have much to say, as much of it has been said time and time again and has fallen on empty hearts and deaf ears. As a Jewish American, I reject the funding of a genocide in my name. As a Grand Rapids citizen, I reject the funding of a genocide while schools close and people continue to have to sleep on the street. Free Palestine. I yield my time.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hello. My name is Amanda. I live on the west side of Grand Rapids. And I come here today to say that I am against, in the strongest words possible, the use of our tax dollars being sent to Israel. Our tax dollars should go towards the betterment of our own city. Our money should be spent building supports for our unhoused neighbors, not putting up chain link fences and pushing members out of our community further into the outskirts of the city. Our tax money should go towards paying teachers a livable wage, towards giving families access to affordable childcare, literally anything that would actually empower our community. By sending money to Israel, you're taking a stance that says we support Israel's crimes against humanity. And we, the citizens of Grand Rapids, will not stand with you. Thank you.
All right, others wish to be heard?
Hello, my name is Alyssa May. I'm going to keep this short because everyone is already saying everything I already think. I am a GR resident, I am a taxpayer, and a voter. I demand that you do your part to redirect our taxes that are currently funding this genocide, a genocide fueled by war crimes. I saw a sign recently in a protest that really made me think. It said, if a school shooter is hiding in a school, when would it ever be morally just to bomb the entire school? Pressure our line of power to call for a ceasefire. Free Palestine.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
My name is Lindsay. My husband and I moved to the city of Grand Rapids just over a year ago, specifically to the Madison area. We've always felt that this city was our home, but we can officially say that we are residents now. As residents of Grand Rapids, I feel responsible to speak up at these meetings, and when I see what is happening in Gaza and in the West Bank, I feel responsible to speak up as a human being. What I have seen over the past month has changed me. I am not the same person that I was before the day I saw a man carrying what was left of his children in grocery bags. And I will never get that version of myself back. That doesn't come back. When I learned that Grand Rapids had the intention of funding atrocities like this that the apartheid state of Israel commits, I find myself disgusted and confused. What is it that entitles Israel to the money that we have made with the intention of giving it back to the city to help form its infrastructure and to help all of its people? A country that has free health care, free education, why are you willingly allowing this apartheid state to siphon almost $3 million in funds from our community to enrich themselves when we can clearly see what they use it for? If Israel can afford the infrastructure that we ourselves are deprived of in our own country, I think that they can afford their own war crimes. If this council has any conscience, and I believe it does, it will divest from Israel and rally in the calls for an immediate ceasefire. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
A lot of numbers are being thrown out tonight.
Can you start with your name?
Sorry.
That's okay.
My name's McCoy. I'm Lindsay's husband. We just moved here a little over a year ago. 11,000 people dead, and 6,000 of those are children. That's a big number. And I wonder, when does it stop being acceptable? You know, as I look into your eyes, you know, I think of many words. Genocide is definitely one, but the one that I'm thinking of right now is apathy. There is an abject amount of apathy and uncaring toward this, what's going on, because it's on the other side of the world. It's easy not to care because it's not happening in your neighborhood. But it is happening in our neighborhood because you're using our money to fund it. So as we all come up here today to extend this night and make it so that you have to stay here long hours to listen to all of us, remember that. And remember that we'll continue to make your hours long if you don't listen to us. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hello, my name is Christian, First Ward. Many of you know me. Just want to first show solidarity to all our comrades who came and spoke today in the name of ending genocide and all the people around the world who have marched, rallied, protested, gotten arrested, including Jewish people who oppose this as well. Because it's not Jewish people doing this, it's the Israeli government. A government that has committed genocide on people for over 30 years, continuously, using white phosphorus bombs, gas bombs, bullets, sniping people. There's people who are maimed in Palestine because they chose to rally and Israeli soldiers used specific bullets that would blast out their knees so they wouldn't be able to walk again. That is the money that you're sending. That is what you're funding. You're funding an army who does that. You're funding a sanctuary for the U.S., for U.S. interests in imperialism in the Middle East. If the U.S. cared about Jewish people, they would stop Nazis marching in our streets, because they do. They would stop Nazis rallying with Nazi flags outside of schools, outside of businesses, outside of Jewish businesses, outside of people who support the LGBTQ community. If the U.S. cared about Jewish people, they would be actively opposing that, actively writing laws that would protect them. But they're not. They're sending money to a sanctuary for them in their imperialism in the Middle East so they can have control over it. Because that's what the U.S. wants, is control. It's not about the Jewish people or the Palestine people over there. That's not their goal. Their goal is to spread U.S. imperialism around the world. And if we actively fund that, that's disgusting. Why are we actively funding the killing of people so we can have a sanctuary in the Middle East. So when we fight a world war down the road, we have somewhere to go. That's what we want to send our money to. I mean, I already know that most of you up here watched as activists yelled at you for years that the GRPD was going to kill somebody. And we watched them execute Patrick Lyoya in the middle of the street. So I know that coming up here and talking to you isn't going to mean. That's why I don't attend these meetings anymore. Because many of you just disregard us as activists who are being disruptive. But I will not stop being disruptive. These people will not stop being disruptive. We will not be quiet about children being beheaded and carried around in grocery bags. As an indigenous person, watching people get genocided from their land, and we're acting like we care about Jewish people in the land over there. When we watch Native Americans get kicked off their land over here, and the U.S. actively participated in that. Justice for Patrick Lyoya, Free Palestine.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard? Hi, welcome.
Hi, good evening. My name is Saribet Gonzalez, and we're here today past my baby's bedtime and missed swim class because this is something that I'm very passionate about. I see on a daily basis how many people of our community are currently struggling in the housing crisis. I'm a single mom myself. I have to pay for all of our needs, and it's hard. I'm scared because I know that early childhood education is very important, and one of the biggest organizations that helped families like me is no longer in our community. And I remember coming home from the hospital with my baby newborn, having to use the food stamps, the little food stamps that I had to pay for all of my baby's formula, and built a closet out of only formula for him, and ate from pantries where I was able to get something for myself. Because of postpartum depression, I was not able to breastfeed my son as I wanted to. And so I see all of the needs that there are in our community. I am a community health worker, and I give passionately to my community. And to see that there are people dying, that there are children dying, and seeing my son, it hurts. It hurts because there's so many futures killed, dreams killed, hopes killed. And I would hate my son, something like that to ever happen to my baby. And so I ask that if there is anything that you as leaders, educated people who are very respected in our community, if there is any way that you can use your power, that you advocate, and that you stand up and you talk to those officials in higher powers and tell them that we're going through what we're going through here in Grand Rapids with the housing crisis, lack of childcare. There wasn't even anywhere to change my baby's diaper in the bathroom just now, or childcare. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. All right, others wish to be heard?
Necesito interpretación.
Yeah, right here.
Gracias. Buenas noches. Bien. ¿Y el tiempo es doble?
Do I get double the time?
Yes. Yep, you'll have time to translate. Yep.
Mi nombre es Gemma y vivo aquí en mi comunidad de Grand Rapids.
My name is Gemma, and I live here in the community in Grand Rapids.
Y estoy aquí como miembro de la comunidad en solidaridad para el pueblo de Palestina.
And I am here as a member of the community in solidarity with the community of Palestine.
Y espero que el minuto que tuvimos de silencio también se recuerde para aquellos que han muerto en este conflicto bélico.
And I hope the moment of silence that we had is also for the people that have died in this conflict.
Que Estados Unidos se interviene en partes del mundo no es nada nuevo.
This thing that the U.S. intervenes in different parts of the world is not new.
Y hablando del conflicto bélico en Palestina, hace más de 70 años que el pueblo de Israel invadió el Estado de Israel invadió estas tierras.
And speaking about this conflict in Palestine, it's been more than 70 years that when Israel first invaded the Palestine land.
Entonces, por más de 70 años se ha muerto gente porque Estados Unidos manda dinero a Israel para que esto suceda.
And then for more than 70 years, people have been dying because the U.S. is sending money for people to be killed.
No es la única parte del mundo que está pasando, pero qué bueno que en este momento están los ojos para que se detenga esto.
It's not the only place in the world where something like this is happening, but it's good that the eyes of the world are placed upon this so everybody knows.
Y nosotros como una pequeña comunidad de Grand Rapids, como una pequeña comunidad, tenemos que agarrar una posición en contra de este genocidio.
And ourselves as a small community in Grand Rapids, we got to stand against this genocide.
Y tener esta posición es de que ustedes, el gobierno local, tomen cartas en el asunto.
And this position is that you, as the local government, take matters into your own hands.
Y puedan escribir una carta para que se cese el fuego inmediatamente en Israel y Palestina.
And you can write a letter so the ceasefire can happen right now in Palestine.
Y también juntarse con los oficiales electos federales que nos representan para que decirle que el gobierno de Grand Rapids está en contra de mandar dinero a Israel.
And also get together with the federally elected officials of this state so you let them know that we are against sending money to Israel.
Y como todo el mundo está hablando de que ese dinero puede utilizarse aquí en nuestra comunidad y en todos Estados Unidos para el beneficio de nosotros, no para matar gente en otro lado.
And like everybody else is saying, that this money can be used here for the benefit of everybody else here and not to kill people outside of the U.S.
Tenemos la obligación como gente que quiere a otra gente que no muera nadie y que lo que nosotros pagamos en impuestos vaya para apoyar a un grupo de personas matando a otros.
We're obligated as people that love that we don't want somebody else to die, and we want our money that we pay for taxes that can help people instead of people dying because of it.
Entonces, como han escuchado a tanta gente que les está pidiendo a ustedes como gobierno local agarrar esta posición en contra del conflicto bélico y del cese al fuego y a favor del cese al fuego.
And so you as local government, you've heard all of us that we want you to stand in a position to be against this and be in favor of this ceasefire.
Es lo más correcto en hacer. Y una vez ustedes pueden hacerlo. Pueden escribir la carta y también pueden hablar con los oficiales electos de federales para que se suspenda ese dinero y para que se invierta en nosotros, la comunidad.
This is the correct thing to do. You can write that letter, you can talk to the federal officials, and you can make sure that this money is reinvested in this community.
Nosotros tenemos mucha necesidad y Movimiento Cosecha como un movimiento que está a favor de los derechos de los inmigrantes. Estamos en solidaridad con los inmigrantes de Palestina para que se termine su dolor.
We have many needs here, and us as Cosecha movement, we're in solidarity. We stand in solidarity with our Palestinian friends.
Y queremos que lo hagan ya.
And we want you to do it now.
Gracias.
All right, thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Okay, so I'm here for something totally different. But I just want to, encourage people to keep speaking their truth and stand on your truth. And this is why it's important that we watch out for who's our elected officials and make sure they align with our values. But anyway, I'm here. I would like to recommend.
Can you start with your name?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Jasmine. I'm from here, Grand Rapids. I would like to see if maybe we can get some reflective road paint on our roads. Sometimes it'd be hard to see at night. I know for me, and especially in the snow and rain and stuff. So if the headlights could reflect off of that, it would make it easier to see. As well as I would like to bring up fluoride in our water and maybe hopefully consider taking it out. I know it's in there for a lot of people preach that it helps with cavities, but the studies leading up to that only proved that it worked roughly 25% of the time. And me personally, not finna buy nothing that only works 25% of the time. It actually has more cons than pros, including lowering IQ levels in people and children who have too much fluoride. And there's other ways to get fluoride. You can get it, they sell it in our toothpaste. You can get it in coffee, potatoes, raisins, whatever. And they like to say a lot of places without fluoride or low fluoride have more cavities. But let's face it, you get cavities by not brushing your teeth and eating too much sugar. And a lot of people like to send their kids, particularly to the stores, and get these sugar-filled, preservative-filled, I'm not going to get too much up into foods, but stuff that's not good for them or not good for their teeth. And they probably don't encourage them to brush their teeth. So that's most likely where the cavities come from. I just think that teeth are important, but the brain is more important than the teeth. So if it's affecting the brain, I don't think people should at least have a choice, at the very least, to have that in their water. People make their baby bottles with it. Babies don't even got teeth. So what do they need to fight cavities for? But we already know we got a lot of stuff going on with our waters anyway. Maybe even starting something to help clean the pipes, or redo the pipes. I don't know if there ever was the water pipes redone, but I'm pretty sure that's why there's a lot of lead in the system. And I just want to stay on that. And I totally do not agree with. I didn't know that my tax dollars was going to Israel. I do not agree with that. America got enough of its own issues to be prying its nose somewhere else. I thought we was in debt. And Flint still got dirty water. So I just feel like it could be invested in other places. And that's all. I hope you consider the fluoride seriously and, the paint as well. Thank you. That was that.
Thanks, Jasmine. All right, others wish to be heard?
My name is Jeff Smith. I live on the 2nd Ward of Grand Rapids. I'm here for two reasons. One, my late dear friend Karen Henry, who was Arab American, I would be sort of not honoring her memory by not speaking out on this issue. And I know that Rosalind, you knew Karen quite well. But the other reason is for the same reason that everybody else has been speaking this evening. And I don't want to repeat the demands or those kinds of things, but I just want to speak to a little bit of GR history. The city clerk mentioned that you had received X number of letters from us already, and that letter had a list of organizations that are sort of endorsing this effort. So in 1982, the same thing happened, where there were dozens of organizations who endorsed a different global effort. Groups like the NAACP, the Grand Rapids Urban League, several churches, the YWCA, Intertribal Council, Temple Emmanuel, a whole list of groups that were asking you, your predecessors, to divest from South Africa because of the apartheid government that they had against the South African population. Of course, we have the beauty of technology where we can mobilize people quickly and communicate much more quickly. It took about a year, but eventually the city of Grand Rapids decided to move its money for reasons of moral judgment, and also because they did not want to support institutionalized racism, move their money from one bank to another because the bank they had it in was profiting off of the South African apartheid system. And so we feel like we're asking you to do the same kind of thing, this in the same spirit. And so I would hope that this body would sort of follow your predecessors and have some courage and some moral fortitude to take a stance on this. This is a whole lot easier because we're not asking you to move all the city's money from one bank to another. We're asking you to demand a ceasefire. We're asking you to speak with federal officials about the money that leaves this community to fund the State of Israel, as well as to make transparent that communication you have. So, again, I appreciate the opportunity to speak, and I'll give up the rest of my time. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hello, my name is Fareed Karachi. I was born and raised in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I'm an American citizen, taxpayer, and business owner who is of Palestinian descent. I find it absolutely deplorable that my tax dollars are committing genocide to my people. I find this to be deeply conflicting since I would like to think of myself as a proud American. How can I support my country, the United States of America, when my tax dollars do not represent me? One of the founding principles of this nation was no taxation without representation. Not only am I not being represented, but I am funding the plight of my own people. We pay Israel to drop the bombs in Gaza, and then we pay into UN humanitarian aid that will relay the bricks. Our tax dollars fund a regime whose top brass is openly racist. Israel's Minister of National Security, Itamar Ben-Gvir, has been recorded on live TV saying, quote, "The right of my people to travel the West Bank is more important than that of an Arab family," end quote. Benjamin Netanyahu goes on live TV and podcasts claiming that Palestine and Palestinians have never existed. Israel's Minister of Defense, Yoav Gallant, openly calls Palestinians human animals. Their leaders and representatives lie and say that Palestinians have never accepted a peace deal, but I must point out a contradiction. Please explain the Oslo Accords. Israel is openly admitting to committing war crimes in the Gaza Strip, restricting the food and access to water to people in Gaza because of the actions of Hamas, this is considered collective punishment. Turning off the electricity and restricting access to fuel so that babies die in their incubators is also collective punishment. Prior to this war, Gaza was receiving 500 trucks of aid per day, and now it is receiving less than 50. Aid trucks were delayed because of the Egyptians because they had to repair the roads that were damaged by Israeli shelling. Keep in mind that the aid was previously going through Israel's checkpoints, which has been restricted by Israeli authorities. Many Gazans have fled south but continued to suffer the shelling of Israel, so they fled back north. Israel claims that people are being used as human shields, but they dropped the bombs anyway, which is an open admission to intentionally killing civilians. Israel's former Prime Minister Yesh Atid recently spoke at a conference and stated, "If the news is objective, then it serves Hamas." Over 100 UN workers have been killed by Israeli shelling. Over 11,000 Palestinian civilians have been killed by Israeli shelling. 50 Palestinian journalists have been killed by Israeli shelling since the start of this war. Former American lawmaker and Michigan resident Justin Amos recently had 2 family members killed in a bombing of a Gazan church. This morning, Al Shifa Hospital reported that it was under siege and digging mass graves since they cannot remove the bodies from the building since it is surrounded by Israeli troops. Patients are only feet away at times from decomposing cadavers. Hospital workers are claiming they're being sniped by Israeli forces. I urge you to issue a written statement, demand for a ceasefire, and reinvest the money into our community. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hi, my name is Amber, and I live in the 49507, the 3rd Ward. I've been a single homeowner there for the last 10 years. I was one of the fortunate millennials to get in before Grand Rapids housing prices. I'm also a refugee foster parent, so tonight I'm actually running late to pick up 2 twin-sized beds. I've only been I've had 2 placements prior to this, Honduras and Mexico. The girls graduated a year early, have jobs and are going to CC in the school, CC at this point. And then less than a week ago, I have a new placement from Burma, now Myanmar. She spent time in Malaysia and has been in the U.S. for just 2 months. I'm getting 2 twin beds tonight from Facebook Marketplace and mattresses. I found them for free. Anytime I accept a placement, it's super last minute, and I'll post something somewhere, and the entire community will come through with clothes or stuffed animals and different things to get on the beds before any of them arrive. I've always had support without question from the community around us. I haven't really had support within foster care or in my in-home daycare, where I have 4 kids under 2 from the city of Grand Rapids. The decision to send this aid to Israel feels like it's just going to continue to cycle the problem. You're sending money to a place that will eventually have the children they're going to use that aid on come to us, that then again our city is responsible for. Also, Thursday night, the Covenant House is hosting a sleep out to represent the homeless youth in Michigan, which is about 22,000 at this point. There are still 13,000 kids in the Michigan foster system. That not enough aid goes to those places, or the agencies like Bethlehem Christian Services that are doing the good work in the community. In the image off of Kalamazoo that has free items, and Closet of Hope that has free items as well for foster parents. But again, the city, I've not seen support from the city of Grand Rapids as much as I have the community of Grand Rapids. And I just ask that, we can't do better until we know better, and we, can give you the information and what we're requesting, but we can't make you understand it. We can just, vote and bring our voices next year if you can't hear us today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Good evening. My name is David Yehudis Ben Avraham, and I live in the city of Grand Rapids. There's a lot of people here tonight demanding that tax money not go to support Israel. And the reason given is that they're claiming Israel's committing genocide. The deaths happening in Gaza are terrible. No one can debate that. However, we do need to talk about things correctly, and what's happening is not, by definition, genocide, because they are not targeting Palestinians directly. They're targeting Hamas. They're targeting a terror organization that committed a horrific attack on my homeland. And no one has brought that up, and no one has brought up any of the victims of that attack or the 250 people who are still being held hostage in Gaza. I agree with everyone here who wants a ceasefire, but the way that we get a ceasefire is pretty easy, and I would fully support you making a statement to that effect, because Israel has already agreed that they will agree to a ceasefire if the 250 hostages that are still alive are released, and Hamas says no. So that is what we should be pushing for, because that is where everybody wins. Just to point out, because you are officials and you do make decisions on things and you do have influence, just information to be had. I would like to read some short excerpts from the founding documents of the group Hamas and also the State of Israel, so the Hamas Charter and the Israeli Declaration of Independence, the Megillat HaAtzmaut, in 1988 and the 1940.
Don't interrupt him. Do not interrupt him. Joel, can you
1946, respectively.
add at least 10 seconds? Did you? Okay.
I also want it to be clear that I do understand that Hamas does not represent the entirety of the Palestinian people, but they are who Israel is fighting right now. from the Hamas Charter. Israel will exist and will continue to exist until Islam will obliterate it as it obliterated others before it. The day of judgment will not come about until Muslims fight Jews and kill them. Then the Jews will hide behind rocks and trees, and the rocks will cry out, "O Muslim, there is a Jew hiding behind me. Come and kill him." Peace initiatives and so-called peaceful solutions and international conferences are in contradiction to the principles of the Islamic resistance movement. Those conferences are no more means to appoint infidels as arbitrators in the lands of Islam. There is no solution for the Palestinian problem except by jihad. Initiatives, proposals, and international conferences are but a waste of time, an exercise in futility. And from the Megillat HaAtzmaut, the Declaration of Independence of the State of Israel, the State of Israel will be open for immigration and the ingathering of our exiles. It will foster the development.
Your time is up. But if you want to leave something in writing, we're happy to take it.
Will do. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your comments. All right, others wish to be heard?
My name is Matt. I live in the 3rd Ward. Like many tonight, I am here to stand in solidarity with Palestine and all who are speaking out against the genocide that the Israeli government is committing. You know, I gotta say, the list of things that I dislike more than coming up here and talking to y'all like this is not a long one. Because you have proven time and time again how little regard you have for the voices of your constituents, the community that put you there. No matter what we come up here and say, no matter how loudly, you have proven that you're gonna do whatever you want. And when it comes to Palestine, Israel, despite everything the community has asked you to do tonight, I would wager that each and every one of you have already made your decision of how you're going to handle it. And I would wager that each and every one of you has decided that you're not going to call for a ceasefire. You're not going to condemn the Israeli government, and you are going to continue to allow millions of our taxpayer dollars to be siphoned away from our community to fund war crimes and a genocide. I don't want to believe that you would do that, but I do. I want nothing more than to be proven wrong. I truly do. I want to be wrong about this. But in case I'm not, I would call upon the community here, everyone who has spoken here, and everyone who might be watching this on the internet, to remember this night, to remember the sheer number of voices that spoke their mind here in unison, and remember that they did nothing. Remember that the next time the next election comes. Honestly, though, I kind of feel bad for you. If you don't do this, I'm honestly going to feel bad for you. Because years from now, when your kids and grandkids are old enough to learn about this in the history books, they're going to think, hey, why don't I talk to Grandpa Drew or Nana Rosalind for my book report? They were around during that. What was it like? And when they find out that you allowed Grand Rapids' money to fund a genocide, which they will find out, you're going to have to see the look on their face when they realize that you were not the people that they thought you were.
All right, others who wish to be heard?
Hello, my name is Tess Clark. I am a lifelong resident of Grand Rapids. I'm here in solidarity with all opposed to our tax dollars funding the genocide of Palestinian people. I want to say briefly, I also have concerns about the water, the drinking water here, and particularly the levels of PFAS. The City of Grand Rapids is providing false information on what safe levels of PFAS is, and it seems like at the very least, just tell the truth and encourage people to filter their water, or maybe you can take the money that's funding genocide and put it towards clean drinking water. Also, A lot of numbers have been thrown around tonight. You know them. You should by now. And the truth is, they are not numbers. How can you measure the loss of 11,000 smiles? Many that never even experienced like losing their first tooth, you know, or 11,000 pairs of eyes. Many who probably needed glasses but could never get them because they didn't have the resources. Or what about in Grand Rapids, the children in underfunded schools who don't get their eyes tested and don't get glasses? Or what about the homeless people on the street? You can't even walk downtown without interacting with one usually. They likely don't have glasses or contacts, so they just don't get to see. Like, do you ever think about that? 11,000 and counting, hopefully not for long. Unique perspectives of the world are now gone. The world that can be so beautiful, they'll never get to experience that side of it. Another truth is that Palestine will be free because we're not going to give up. And wouldn't it just make your job easier to agree with us now and go down in history with a little bit more dignity? I hope you agree. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hi, good evening. My name is Cherie. I live in the First Ward. Along with many others, I'm here to speak on the Palestinian genocide. Make no mistake, I do not have faith that those before me will take action, and I'm here only to speak on the record. Unfortunately, I have wasted many hours in this room in front of these commissioners and others, witnessing constituents join their messaging on various issues, hoping that our city leaders would be moved by their collective concern. I witnessed it prior to these commissioners here passing the anti-homeless ordinances. The community told them that these ordinances infringed on human rights, but they caved to corporate pressure. The commissioners promised, they stood here and promised us that one of the ordinances was not civil forfeiture. However, the police are indiscriminately throwing away people's personal items, claiming that wet or dirty items are contaminated. Leading up to the murder of Patrick Lyoya, the community routinely expressed their concern over the state violence they were experiencing in this community. Again, the commissioners did nothing. And in April 2022, former Grand Rapids Police Department officer Christopher Schur murdered Patrick execution style. Now the city of Grand Rapids has seemingly wiped its hands clean of Patrick's murder by being dropped from the lawsuit. But let me remind you that no matter what lawsuit is brought forward or what charges are held in court, no matter how many lights you string downtown or amphitheaters you build, the blood of Patrick Lyoya will forever stain the city, and we will never forget what you have done. So yes, I am here to ask the commissioners to lift our collective voice as we mourn 11,000 Palestinians and counting. Our state representatives refuse to meet with us. Hillary Scholten would rather arrest us than talk with us. And Debbie Stabenow has received over $800,000 from AIPAC. So we do need the power of your position to convey our message. However, I'm mostly here to put on the record that the community asked the commissioners today, November 14th, 2013, to use their platform to denounce genocide. Whether they choose to or not will be their history. The people will continue their fight for Palestinian freedom. Thank you.
Others wish to be heard?
Hello, my name is Frankie Johnson. Every morning as I'm on my way to work, I see all of our houseless community members struggling on the streets. On my way to school, I see struggling students struggling with their education. I see valuable services in our city lose funding, and I see all of you, as people in power, complacent in allowing our personal tax dollars to go towards funding a genocide. I'm here today to express, like many people before me, that you must speak out and call for a ceasefire. I am not proud to call Grand Rapids my hometown if you do not do your part as our constituents. Please speak up. Palestine will be free. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Frankie. All right, others who wish to be heard?
Hi, my name is Millie. I was born and raised in Grand Rapids, and I currently reside in Grand Rapids. I am here today in solitude with everyone else in this room. I think, too, I guess I can't leave this room without saying something. I didn't intend on speaking, but I have little ones, and I'm raising them to use their voice, regardless if they think it's too small. This whole month has been really hard. I struggle with mental health issues, always have. But regardless of my mental health issues, I still sit there and watch, because as an empathetic human being, that's the least that I can do. And as a resident of Grand Rapids, I am here to, let you know and use my little voice that I do not agree to fund Israel's military, because it's not a fair war. And I don't even like to call it a war, because it is genocide. And whether you have sat there and watched the videos or not, I urge you to, because if it is empathy that you are lacking, you will get it from those videos. As a mother, I, empathize with everyone who has lost a child in this, because I don't know what I would do if I lost mine. But I do want to leave with saying one other thing, and that is that there is power in numbers, and our voices will be heard. They have to be heard. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Hi, welcome.
Hi there, good evening. My name is Camille. I live in downtown. I also go to school up the hill. I go to Michigan State. I'm a medical student. I actually have an exam tomorrow morning. It's 5.5 hours long. But I'm here today not because I'm irresponsible, but because I am responsible. First thing we learn in medical school is that we ask an open question, because the first thing to caring for the people we serve is that we listen. So me being a responsible medical student, I've been listening to my friends, my classmates, my community, people in Palestine, even Jewish people. And I want you to know that I hear them, and I also agree that we need to call for a ceasefire and invest in our community. And I'll also add, too, that I'm sure you probably haven't heard from many medical students here today. And when I talk to my classmates, I feel like a lot of them are, calling for a ceasefire, and they're pro-Palestine, all these things, but they're scared for very real reasons. We're scared that we're going to get doxxed, that we won't be able to get into residency or match, get jobs later on. And so I think for us, it's important to see leaders and to know that if we were to speak up, that it would be received well and that we would be heard. I think we're all just trying to do our best to contribute and to do our part. And so I think I would want the leadership of Grand Rapids to do that too. But yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Good luck on your exam. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hello, my name's Anthony. I live in the First Ward. Commissioners, City Manager, Mayor, we are asking you here today to be on the right side of history. Would you have sent $2.8 million to similar apartheid regimes throughout history? Regimes that supported and in turn were supported by Israel throughout the early and middle 20th century? Would you have approved $2.8 million to be sent to apartheid South Africa, to Rhodesia? Would you have vacillated? Would you have been apathetic in the face of injustice and ethnic cleansing of the 75 years of Israeli occupation? Would you? I hope not. I stand here with my friends and family, with my Muslim friends and family, with my anti-Zionist Jewish friends and family, who oppose their name being conflated with an ethno-nationalist and genocidal project. We call on you to boycott Israeli goods and businesses, divest from Israel, the IOF, the Israeli Occupation Force, and their ongoing genocide and occupation of Gaza, the West Bank, of Jenin, of Rafah, of all the sites and of massacres from the 1940s to now. Reinvest the money into our community. Call for a ceasefire immediately. Use your line of power to help Palestine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, friends. Mark from Grand Rapids. Well, if you're going to work right now, then you're probably not Daniel Cameron. Not only he lost the gubernatorial race in Kentucky, he's about to lose his job as Attorney General. Even his own party wants him out. That's what you get, Danny, for pussyfooting around and not doing the job the right way. Because you are responsible for the murder of Breonna Taylor. Now, eyes on Gaza. What are you doing? You're sending money to a foreign country whose government is hell-bent on eliminating entire country, innocent people. They're not Hamas. They won't go after Hamas. They go after Hamas. Palestine is not Hamas. And there has been unconfirmed, and for the beheading of babies, that has been unconfirmed. You know, that's what happens when mainstream media gets something from undocumented sources and they run with it. There's no confirmation of it. But that money, whatever happened to Americans first and foreigners second? That money should be used for higher education, jobs, lifting, increasing and people out of poverty. That reduces crime. But you, on the other hand, want to send it to Israel. Those individuals have been fighting there since 1948. However, Netanyahu came into the clutches of one Donald Trump, and he bogarted him to move the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. The people are not happy, and this is what's happening.
Okay,
Thank you, and good night.
Thank you, Mark. All right, others wish to be heard?
My name is Bima Haji from the 3rd Ward. I ceased attending these meetings several months ago because it became apparent that our opinions carry little weight unless accompanied by financial contributions that benefit certain individuals. Today I am present not to implore your assistance, but to impart knowledge to the younger generation and those who I know are watching via Facebook right now. I hear a lot of people talk about, are you seeing what's going on? And it's become extremely apparent with Western media that it's not being seen. So I'd like to use this opportunity to provide resources for those who may be looking to see the truth of what's going on in Palestine. and I would implore you to follow Palestine Solidarity Campaign, Mideast Web, Middle East Online Palestine, and AIC. There are 4 specific journalists on the ground in Gaza right now that need our support. I implore you to find them on Instagram and to see the firsthand accounts of what is truly going on. Motaz Aziza, Wizard Basan 1, by Palestinia, Hindu Akhtar. So I wasn't going to come up here to speak today, but I can't leave without saying something. I stand in solidarity with my fellow Grand Rapids constituents in voicing our tax dollars staying here in Grand Rapids and not funding the genocide in Palestine. I think it's ass backwards that we don't have money for our homeless. We've been asking you for that. We don't have money for our vets who fought in previous wars. We've just disowned them. They're on the corner. We don't have money for that. We don't have money for our homeless youth, our communities at risk, single mothers, our third ward. But drop bombs on Gaza, yes, we have $3 billion in tax money we can send over there. It's just absolutely ridiculous. I want to say drop the charges on the 3 activists arrested in an attempt to speak with elected officials and showing their solidarity with Palestine. And I also want to say, Mark Washington, you have been nominated for the prestigious Marcus Garvey Award. It is a disgrace to the New African nation to witness a sellout who can't even tell you what the colors of the New African flag mean bestowed by the Honorable Marcus Garvey unless you were to pull up Google. Free Palestine, free the land, justice for Patrick Lyoya, defund GRPD.
All right, others wish to be heard?
Thank you. My name is Lindsay Beaver, and I hail from Southeast Grand Rapids. First off, before I start my little talk over here, I wanted to thank everybody individually for taking the time to hold space for all of our big feelings. I actually know a lot about how that feels, as I am a trauma therapist. So with that, this is my voice. I stand before you here having a conversation that I've actually had for years. I know that in discussing the Israeli-Palestinian conflict in years past, it has become a social norm to stay silent. After all, it is said that the entire issue is infinitely nuanced. I'm no stranger to nuance. After all, I am Jewish. I was raised with the story that the Jewish state was the only time in history we'd be safe. And it was the only way we could ever be safe from persecution. From the age of 5, we learned the apathy of others and how it led to piles of mangled corpses during our Holocaust. We say never again. I remember the days I believed those words were true. I have family in Israel. Your tax money does not benefit them, and they do not want it. I used to have family in the IDF serving as teachers. I also have Palestinian loved ones. Their pain is in my heart every moment of every day. This conflict has been taking place in my mind since I first learned the plight of the Palestinians, and I was told their stories too late. But I do not speak to you today only as a Jew. I also speak to you today as a trauma-informed psychotherapist who serves in this community. You have taken the time to hold space again for the rage and fear and pain of many today, and again, I thank you all for that. In return, I'd like to share with you a warning about the welfare of your community and cities through the country. After all, before you see it in elections, I hear about it in my sessions. I hear the things people feel unsafe to say in public. Even if you decide to do nothing, the threat to Jews, Zionists or not, Muslims, Palestinians or not, will be palpable in days, months, and years to come. And if you think for a second that supplying funding for weapons will protect Israel from Hamas, know that you are doing the exact opposite. You are creating more Hamas fighting for their freedom. Your constituents are not feeling safe. We're getting more and more clients who are overwhelmed with grief at the state of our world. I have family and friends who are being threatened, some children. I have Muslim students who are being threatened. People are afraid of speaking up and putting a target on their back. I have clients who are afraid to go to school. The reality of this issue is less nuanced than it has ever been painted in the past, and for now, I believe that that is an inevitability. My Israeli family had turned around, and some are beginning not to support the occupation. People in the IDF are boycotting their own organization. The safety many were enjoying no longer seems worth it for many people. As a trauma therapist, I often explain that in survival mode, nuance goes out the window.
Thank you. I'm sorry, your time's up.
That's okay.
Thank you. Thanks for your comments.
Would I have time to send it as well?
You are welcome to
individually?
send us an email.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, welcome.
Hi, my name is Elise, and I live in Grand Rapids. I would like to point out that roughly 2/3 of Americans support a ceasefire in Gaza, making this a bipartisan issue. I would also like to remind you that your constituents do pay attention to how you all vote, what you say, and what you do. I have seen in the past month a list of the names of thousands of children who have been murdered because of our country's funding, many of whom were less than 1 year old. I have seen the remaining body parts of children in bloody bags, women having to have surgery directly after childbirth, all with no anesthesia, and a 3-year-old who by some miracle survived bombing. He was so scared that his entire body was shaking, his teeth were chattering, he was bloody. He did not deserve this. None of them did. I would like to remind you, or to inform you if you don't know, that Israel has cut off water, electricity, food, and humanitarian aid into Gaza. Multiple hospitals have been bombed, with the excuse of all of this horror being that some of these bombs might just so happen to hit members of Hamas. I would also like to point out that the definition of genocide is the intentional destruction of a people in whole or in part. Roz Segal, who is the director of genocide studies at Stockton Universities, has stated that this conflict is a textbook case of genocide, and a director at the UN has quit due to the UN's failure to act on what he has also described as a textbook case of genocide. You need to think about all of this as you weigh this decision. I would like to remind everyone here that this is coming from our taxes that we collectively pay through our own hard work. I had 3 jobs and I could not afford a 1 or even to split a 2-bedroom apartment in this city. We should not be using our tax money to fund a genocide when we have the opportunity to use this funding for desperately needed affordable housing or education, particularly early childhood education. You have the opportunity to do the right thing here. Please don't miss it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Hi, welcome.
Hello, my name is Chloe Fisk, and I'm here representing students from Aquinas College, located in East Grand Rapids. Living in Grand Rapids, we see the firsthand effects of air and light pollution, local economic division, and political disengagement. A future needs to be molded where green jobs are valued, communities are sustainable and progressive, and the government collaborates hand in hand with the people that they represent. Our investment to this matter will not be dismissed. We are the future. What does it take to restore, reserve, and replenish, to prepare, provide, and progress? Grand Rapids matters. We need to implement thinking globally and acting locally. Climate change is the result of inequity and inequality. What is Grand Rapids doing to bring people together? If I'm being honest, I didn't have any intention of talking about the injustice and genocide happening in Palestine tonight. But hearing these cries makes me ache. I feel touched by the passion, but disheartened by the reason why. I hear all these people here tonight. They are very empowering. I hope that you hear each word that they've said, and you are empowered to take action. This is a climate matter, a moral matter, and overall a human matter. Call for a ceasefire. Use the taxpayer money that is being sent to Israel in support of genocide to fight the battle against climate change. Look within each one of yourselves tonight. I'm going to college right now in hopes to pursue a career in maybe political, maybe scientific, maybe medical fields. And I could be sitting in the position where you are tonight. And I would be disappointed by myself if I did not have it in me to stand up for what the people are and for the people that I represent. I want to thank you all for your consideration and do better. Thank you.
All right, others wish to be heard?
Hello, my name is Tobin Hanks. I'm a citizen here in Grand Rapids. I think throughout history when things like this happen, the question afterwards is always how it happened. And I think the answer pretty much universally is that people look away. And then my question after that is how do you look away? Because I can't find it in my heart to do that right now. But as I've watched this meeting, I've seen that some up here are particularly adept at looking away. We saw a woman stand here with her child and give a very personal, very emotional speech, and there was at least one member up here who did not even glance at her during the entire time. And I find that shameful. This is how you lose supporters, but this is also how we lose faith in democracy, which is a dangerous thing. I don't want people to lose faith in democracy, and I don't want people to lose faith in their elected individuals. However, when the people who are supposed to represent us hear us and do not, I'm not really sure what else to tell you. I hope that in addition to the other requests made of you tonight, that all of you are able to reconnect more with your ability to feel shame, feel that shame, and then act accordingly. Because as of right now, the people in this room are feeling that shame for you, and if you continue on this path, your legacy will be your ability to look away when people suffer. Thank you.
All right, others who wish to be heard?
Hi, my name is Antonia. I live in Grand Rapids, and I stand with Palestine and everyone here who urges you to call for a ceasefire and divest from Israel taking that money away from this genocide. I want to read a story, a testimony from someone in Gaza right now. This is from Dr. Ghassan Abu Sita. This was from October 19th. I hope he's okay today. He writes, I am currently at Shifa Hospital in the burns unit. I literally work all day in the operating room, and at night I sleep on one of the stretchers. Shifa Hospital itself, which is Gaza's largest hospital, has turned into a camp for internally displaced, with tens of thousands of families in every compound of the hospital, in the corridors, on the stairwells. The day before yesterday, I had been asked by colleagues at Al-Ahli Hospital to help out, so I took an ambulance and I was operating there until 5:30 p.m. When I realized I was going to have to stay overnight because it wasn't safe to travel at night, and so I could continue operating into the night. Later on that evening, there was a loud screeching followed by the explosion. When I went out of the operating room to see what had happened, I could see the courtyard of the hospital was on fire. The ambulances were on fire, the cars were on fire, the palm trees were on fire. The courtyard, which had been lit up by the fire, was just full of bodies and bits of bodies. After the explosion, the wounded started coming in, and I went into the emergency department. There were scenes of absolute pandemonium, dead bodies everywhere, people screaming, people with amputations. My first case was a 5-year-old girl whose mother had been killed alongside with her sister, and who had this massive wound in her right arm, the whole of the right arm. These wounds were extremely contaminated. There was dirt and gravel, pieces of glass and metal in the wound that would have to be cleaned. The dead tissue needed to be removed. And then we carried on operating until midnight. In the night, I tended to a guy with an amputation just through his thigh. I used his belt as a tourniquet, and I resuscitated him. When I was there, another guy had shrapnel in his neck and had a blood vessel that was squirting blood out. I was still quite shaken up yesterday, but by midday I decided that the only way was to just get back to work. Yesterday, the orthopedic surgeons at Shifa said they had no more external fixators. Things are just falling apart. The hospital probably has twice the number of wounded patients that it had capacity for. Yesterday, they ran out of wards and corridors for mattresses to keep the wounded on. The water pressure reaching the hospital is now low, and they can't operate the central sterilization machine. We reverted to Siddex, which is a chemical disinfectant.
Thank you. I'm sorry, your time's up. Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hey, my name is Solomon. I've lived in Grand Rapids for almost all of my life, and I just wanted to say that this is no complicated issue. If you represent the will of the people have spoken, the people are speaking, the people of Grand Rapids and the people of America, and we demand that we stop funding this genocide, that the city of Grand Rapids stop funding this genocide, and that you call for a ceasefire. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments.
Hello.
Hi, welcome.
My name is Azra Kolic. I was born and raised in Bosnia. I am victim of Bosnian War. I know what is genocide. I know what is concentration camp, how to live without water, without food, with baby in apartment, with grenades in hospitals, and our homes, with snipers who were shooting us when we went outside to bring water. Please, please, in the name of God, who believes in God, think about this. Everything will stop one day. We will die, sooner or later. Heart attack, death, old, young. We will be asked, I believe that we will be asked for our actions. We can pretend that like we don't see or we blame someone. What happened in Gaza, in Palestine, 1948 and after that, until Hamas was made. Don't tell, oh, this is because of Hamas, they're doing that. That is not the truth. What happened before October 7th or before Hamas? How many Muslims or children, Catholics, doesn't matter, Christians, innocent people were killed, especially Muslims. I was in war. I was in Bosnia actually, and I'm Muslim, and I want to tell you, not only Muslim, I'm so proud to be Muslim. My people didn't go to Serbia, my people didn't go to Croatia. They came from Croatia and from Croatia and Serbia and kill us Muslims, only because we say, La ilaha illallah, there is no God but Allah. And Muhammad is prophet of God, only because of that. Now it's the same. They don't kill people because of religion, they're killing people because of power, because of money, I don't know what else. They present like gods on earth. But you know, God sees everything. We can do everything what we like, but we will be asked for our actions, for our deeds. Do what you like. No one can tell you what you're gonna do. If you represent people, you should listen what people say. We will live as long as God wants, you know. Please be careful. Can you imagine that your child or your grandson is now in hospital without electric and dying in incubator? Just be human. You don't have to be Muslim. You don't have to be Palestinian. You don't have to be in faith. Just be human, please, in the name of God, because we will be asked for all this. I came from Bosnia. I was separated from my family, from my twin sister, because my home was destroyed. I couldn't leave. They steal everything. They did massacre, genocide, killed people. We have massive graves. They destroyed more than 500,000 messages over there.
Ma'am,
yeah.
I'm sorry your time is up, but
please.
thank you for your comments.
You're welcome.
And
thank you.
Thank you for being here.
For listening.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, my name is Harry. I'm from the First Ward of Grand Rapids. First off, I'd like to say this is what community looks like. This is what a caring, empathetic, supportive community looks like. I would also like to say I counted 5 police officers in here and 2 security officers, and I think that's a gross misuse of my tax money and our tax money. As of November 13, these are some metrics on what's going on in Gaza. 11,000 people have been killed, 4,600 children, 40 journalists, 198 medical staff, 130 teachers, 102 UN staff. At least 28,000 have been injured. More than 50 entire families killed. Israel has dropped the equivalent of 2 nuclear bombs on the Gaza Strip, more than 25,000 tons of explosives. 41,000 housing units in Gaza Strip has been destroyed completely. That is at least 45% of Gaza's housing units that are destroyed. The UN has documented attacks on at least 135 healthcare facilities, 289 educational facilities, 11 bakeries, 73 places of worship, and 53 ambulances. Prior to October 7, 70% of Gaza's children were suffering from malnutrition, anemia, and weakened immunity. This number has now increased to 90% of the children of Gaza. Approximately 52,000 infants in Gaza are at risk of starvation and death currently. Since mid-October, the World Health Organization has documented reports of over 33,551 cases of diarrhea, 8,944 cases of scabies and lice, 1,005 cases of chickenpox, 12,635 cases of skin rash, and 54,866 cases of upper respiratory infections. This is what's happening in Gaza. I'm here today with the people of Grand Rapids to demand a ceasefire now, to use the power that we have elected you to use for the good of this world and not for the profit. Stop the U.S. war machine, demand a ceasefire, justice for Patrick Lyoya, and defund the GRPD. Thank you.
Thanks. Hi, welcome.
Hello, my name is Eduardo, and I am a native of Grand Rapids. This is interesting for me because normally I'm a laid-back and happy person, and right now I find it hard to be so joyful living through a live genocide that's going on, and it's just so bizarre that the nation that values freedom and holds all the power to change that is actively funding this genocide. And what's more, it's in the name of the people. But the people of the community and all across the nation have shown time and time again that they are against this genocide. As we have seen in Grand Rapids, we have seen in New York, we have seen recently 300,000 in Washington, D.C. protests against this genocide. And yet, they keep sending bombs, weapons in our name. We will not stand for this. We ask that you, please, do something about this. Speak up. Because these are innocent lives at stake. What could be your brother, mother, father, son. I only ask that you see the human side to all this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Hi, thank you. My name is Madeline Schmidt. I'm a resident of Grand Rapids, Michigan. It would take me nearly 7 hours to read aloud all of the names of every single one of the 11,000 Palestinian civilians that have been murdered in the last month alone. So with these 3 minutes instead, let me say this. Gaza is a very densely populated area in occupied Palestine where 50%, over half of the population, are under the age of 15 years old. Excuse me. 4,600 children have been killed. The most common age among the dead is 5 years old. 5 years old. Is this not terrorism? And if that's not what is, I urge you to support an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, and I demand that we reallocate that 2.8 million intended to leave Grand Rapids for Israel, to be reallocated instead to enrich our own communities. And if anything, if we need to send it overseas, may we send it to Gaza, where they desperately need humanitarian aid for the 50,000 pregnant women now expected to care for themselves in Gaza. Let it be for the children who are starving, expelled from their homes over a war that they didn't choose. I'm sorry, 50% are under the age of 15. I'm here today because I refuse to see our community aiding and abetting the war crimes committed by the Israeli military. It is imperative that we as a collective stand together against violence, and this is towards Palestinians, Israelis, Jews, Arabs, Muslims. Please do not send $2.8 million of Grand Rapids money to Israel. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Madeline, for coming. Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hi, my name is Paige. I just kind of wanted to highlight the fact that none of us asked to be born, right? None of us it's not a choice that we get to make as people. It's a beautiful gift, but it's also kind of uncomfortable. And, beyond that, we don't get to choose what kind of circumstances we're born into. In our own community or country, that might look like being born into poverty as opposed to being born into a wealthier family. But in the instance of Palestinians, it essentially means being born to die. And I just wanted to note that we should kind of acknowledge that. I also wanted to read a couple quotes, one of which says, "It should not be considered radical to want a genocide to end. It should not be considered revolutionary to want children and babies and innocent civilians to not be bombed. It should not be considered rebellious to want Western colonial governments to stop aiding and abetting war crimes." The second quote that I'll end off with is, "Empathy is not simply a matter of trying to imagine what others are going through, but having the will to muster enough courage to do something about it." And I think that what all of us here today are asking you to do is do something about it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hello, my name is Connor, and I'm speaking to you today as a resident who lives over by Fulton and Fuller here in town. Today, I want my statement to be as much as possible talking with you without contempt. And first and foremost, as well, to say that I condemn the very real spike in anti-Semitic and Islamophobic attacks on American citizens right now as a result of this conflict. Many previous statements have referred to matters that seem to be far beyond municipal operations, and so I want to bring attention to the Sister City program that started following World War II to foster peace and global cooperation. One of Grand Rapids' sister cities is Bielsko-Biała in Poland, a city that faced much violence in a war where citizens were as much considered targets as military installations, and this is the conflict that led to the Geneva Conventions. Ambassadors from Gaza City have bid farewell to their sister city ambassadors in Barcelona. We are facing a historical moment that will not end soon, and this pushback against militarism is a long time in the making for how it affects the resources for our city, amongst many others. If you fear supporting a ceasefire or don't think that your own support will be meaningful during this time of destruction, commissioners, mayor, I would like to call attention to the fact that many of our senators and representatives have had unrelenting phone calls in support of this. This is backed up by the testimony of DC Capitol staffers who have fielded these calls day in and day out, and 100 staffers who just walked out last week. If you are unconvinced of the disproportionate scale of violence against Palestinians, I urge you to dive deeper into your understanding of the history of the way that Palestinians have been pushed repeatedly from their homeland in the 20th and now the 21st century. We cannot accept another area of the Middle East to be embroiled in another long-term hot conflict that costs our world resources that could be used to benefit humanity, driving up inflation from Ukraine to Grand Rapids. Honor the Israeli and Palestinian civilians who have needlessly died, as well as the hostages, UN aid workers, and Doctors Without Borders that face death from the policies of the Israeli government and carpet bombing by the Israeli military. I urge you to really reconsider what your power is as each of you, as individuals. We are coming to you today, many of us, after having our statements falling on deaf ears for officials that are well above you. But I encourage each of you to talk up the ranks of the power structures that exist in our society and help them understand what we are dealing with here in Grand Rapids and our own emotions here in this city. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Appreciate it. Hi, welcome.
Hi. Hello, my name is Danny. I'm a proud union member with the CWA Local 34022, also a resident of the First Ward. I'm a longtime resident of Grand Rapids, and I don't want my tax dollars to fund the genocide, and that's why I'm urging the commission to represent the people in this city in calling for a ceasefire, in calling out our federal lawmakers for misusing our tax dollars, in relaying their response back to the people of Grand Rapids. Especially because I cannot vote as an undocumented Latina immigrant, and I rely on all of you to do your duty as our representatives of this city to echo our demands. Our community is facing urgent needs: funding for education, aid to working class parents and caregivers, infrastructure, housing. People are struggling, and we are living through wealth inequality not seen since the Great Depression. And you should all be equally disgusted at our federal lawmakers for using the tax money of the hardworking people of this city to fund the destruction of hospitals, refugee camps, schools in Palestine. And as a descendant of people that fought colonialism, a member of the diaspora, Latinas, that is rebuilding itself from decades, if not centuries, of Western imperialism, I can't stand by this. And that is why I'm calling on all of you, our municipal representatives, to follow in the footsteps of other cities like Kauai, California, or Providence, Rhode Island. They have issued similar statements in support of Palestine. Providence, Rhode Island itself is a city of similar size to Grand Rapids, so there is no excuse. And if you're looking for something more local, Detroit is echoing our same demands. Stand on the right side of history, call out our federal legislators, be transparent with your constituents on what their response is. Free Palestine, Viva Palestina. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hi, my name is Shannon. I live in Grand Rapids. I'm not going to repeat what everyone else has said because I couldn't say it any better. I just want to state that I support the demands that have been made and that I oppose my tax dollars being used to help fund this genocide. I also want to point out that one of the easiest examples that I can think of a better use of this money would be that the city could easily spend $2.8 million replacing lead service lines and not even be done. And that's all I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hello. Hi. My name is Julian. I live here on the west side. I didn't really plan on speaking tonight, and frankly, I'm not sure how much difference my voice will make. What can I add which hasn't been said so many times before and more eloquently? But I feel a responsibility to add my voice to all these others because it is through our collective outcry, the strength of our solidarity, that we are able to change the world and move it in the direction of justice. Respectfully, I'm calling on you to use your power, whatever its degree, to follow through on your responsibility to this community. I've seen hundreds in the street of this city calling for a free Palestine, calling for a ceasefire, calling for justice. Mine is just another voice insistent that you divest from Israel, that you put out a resolution to call for a ceasefire. Now you have the chance to stand on the right side of history, to draw a line against a state that regards the Palestinian people as animals who are expendable. Israel is a state which indulges in ethnic cleansing, collective punishment, and the indiscriminate bombing of civilians, mostly children, honestly. We reject that, and we refuse to have any part in this genocide. This cannot be called a conflict because such a term would imply a confrontation waged on equal terms. This did not emerge out of the blue on October 7th. It is based on 75 years of settler colonialism. And the people of this community warned this body that the GRPD would kill someone, and sure enough, Christopher Schur would go on to kill Patrick Lyoya with a point-blank shot to the back of his head. So how many more times must our calls for justice, for an end to
to racist violence. How many more times must those calls fall on deaf ears? We demand justice and peace, and such a thing cannot be built on stolen land. It can only be built through solidarity, which we have seen illustrated by people of all nations and backgrounds, Jews, Muslims, Christians, and the irreligious standing shoulder to shoulder, calling for a free Palestine and ceasefire. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Ooh, hi, my name is Des Begay. It's scary being up here. I don't act anymore because of this. So Desiree yin she tro hana inchle betatni bushes chin tude chitni dasha che kintle chitni dashanella. My people are from the Navajo Nation, which is in New Mexico, and our people went through a genocide, and we're still going through it. And I've spent my whole life trying to get people, including my own community in the theater, to see me as a person. And I guess I'm coming up to all of you right now. You've already heard ceasefire. You've already heard free Palestine. You've already made your decisions today before you even walked into this room. But I'm asking you right now to use your platforms on social media, to share a post tonight when you go home, to share with your husband or your wife or your spouse or whoever you are with and talk to them about this. I encourage you to go and find one name of one child and learn how to say it. And you remember that baby, because that baby is probably not alive anymore. My people don't speak Navajo like they used to. That's all I can say in Navajo, because my language was taken, because my dad was taken to the Carlisle Indian boarding school when he was little, and he saw his siblings die in front of him. A lot of my people have a lot of sad stories. Those things that you hear about happening in Palestine, happening as they're walking on the Nakba. I've heard those stories too, but it happened here, and it happened on the Navajo Long Walk. And so I come here for you today to talk to you as someone in the community, as someone who you may have seen something that I've worked on at the theater level. I work with all tons of people who I thought would speak out on this issue, who I thought that we've done Cabaret, we've done Les Mis. These are the same people who would have stood for Javert, and they're not standing for Palestine. They're not standing for me. And I really appreciate you all listening to this. And I really, really hope that what I've said goes into your heart, and it is a seed that's planted, because I know that what we're taught is hard to unlearn. I've seen it. I've had a difficult conversation with my husband. He's white. We just got married in July. I had to ask him, how much more? How much longer till you make a post? Just a post. Because they're not asking a lot of us in Gaza, in the West Bank, all the nationalities of the world. We're not asking a lot. We're asking for you to see us like humans.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hello. My name is Meg. I actually moved back to Grand Rapids after being gone for 6 years, a matter of weeks ago. And like a lot of the people in this room, or who were in this room tonight, I have spent those weeks watching the worst thing that I've ever seen in my entire life unfold on my phone. And one of the most disturbing parts about all of it is the dissonance. There was a person in here tonight who was mentioned previously by another community member who walked up here with her child, or their child, and that was the first time, and I've been here all night, that I saw expressions on some of your faces that moved or appeared to be human, and I wasn't prepared to say anything tonight, but I have a question, and the question is, if you could visualize all of the children in Palestine up here at this podium who are still alive, thousands and thousands less than were alive a month ago, would you be able to look at them and say, yeah, I'm going to send $2.8 million to make sure that more violence is enacted against you? So that if you haven't lost your parents yet, you're going to. You haven't lost your pet or your home, which that's nobody anymore. You're going to, and we're going to make sure it happens. And if you could say that to them, if the answer is yes, God help you, and that's a first impression as a new Grand Rapids voter and as a human being I will never forget. And if the answer is no, then I think you know where I'm going with this. Another thing that I have wished for as I watch this stuff happen and I write letters and I make calls is that I had a line to power like many of you do. And I think a lot of people in this room wish that they had that. And we're asking you to use it to do the right thing. And that is all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments.
Hi there. My name is Christy. I was born and raised here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And before I start saying what I have to say, I would appreciate if everyone can keep their eyes on me just for the next 2 minutes, please, and thank you. I just want to start off by saying that I am truly disgusted at the fact that we are so okay with sending $2.8 million to go bomb innocent civilians. And you guys, I'm pretty sure that you guys are very well aware by now that those bombs include white phosphorus. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm Vietnamese American. My parents have already experienced that. What happened to never again? My parents watch horrific things happen to their loved ones all around them throughout their entire childhood. Why are we so okay with allowing for that to happen again? So please, I truly, truly do advise for you guys to reconsider on where we send that money to. Like, please be our voice, just like how we've been the Palestinian people's voices. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hi, I'm Julia. I'm from Grand Rapids. I'm here today because I have blood on my hands like the rest of us. I especially want to urge anyone who's white and in a position of power to call for not only a ceasefire but a free state of Palestine, because Zionism is white supremacy, and if you're in a position of power where you can denounce that, you should. You definitely should. Please do the right thing. Please pour that money into our community, our fellow Grand Rapids family, you know, veterans and homeless people are on the streets, and everyone knows there's 1,000 billion one things that the money can go to, and not one of those things is genocide. Not one of those is killing kids, killing innocents, killing people who have lived in the same houses for 9 generations over, but somehow, some way, God says that they should, no. We need to be real, and you need to use your voice, because that's why we elected you. So please do that. Please call for a free state of Palestine and a ceasefire for now if you can, and thank you guys.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hello, good evening. My name is Naomi. I'm a resident of the First Ward. Good evening, Drew Robbins and Mayor Bliss. I'm here to address the $2.8 million in city taxes that are being sent to fund the genocide in Israel, a genocide that Israel is perpetuating. I live in the northwest side of Grand Rapids, and I see our own community is suffering. I see the issue of homelessness that we have. I can barely afford rent myself. I use food pantries in the neighborhood. I struggle, and I feel like our community could really use the money, and that the money shouldn't be sent to killing, more like war in general. It's really hard. I am up here, and I have been just looking at everybody's emotions and faces of even the police officers and security and you guys, and I just am like, I don't know, I feel like it's really scary how, like,
it doesn't feel human because I can't seem to see a reaction in people, and I don't know if you're allowed to have reactions or emotions, but I know I'm hearing all these stories and I'm seeing things on my phone as everyone else is, and I'm crying every day. And I bet you are too, and I hope you are. And yeah, I know you guys have a line of power, so I'm asking you guys to do the right thing like everybody else is, and just you know, use your power, even if it's just a post on Facebook, Instagram. You guys have such influence. And we elect you, and we're all gonna remember. And you know, it's important, and it's important when we're all collectively organizing together and coming together on stuff like this. Yes, entire families have been decimated in the Gaza Strip, making it unlivable. This is an ethnic cleansing. When will we learn? More violence and war does not solve anything. It just breeds more violence. This is a perpetuation of imperialism. The U.S. war machine, you know, people are making profits off of this. There's a place in Zeeland that a bomb was dropped in Gaza. So they're making money off of this. This is just to keep them making money and making profit. Like, we all know it. We all know the U.S. war machine. We know how it perpetuates itself. And I really hope that you follow, like the other places in Rhode Island and California, the municipalities, and create a resolution for a ceasefire and divest our community resources to go somewhere that will actually help and benefit and create less trauma in the world, because we're all connected and we all are going to be impacted by that, by what has happened. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mamie Graziano. I live in Fulton Heights neighborhood, which is Precinct 29, Ward 2. And I am here speaking from my heart from a whole different perspective. I am a retired teacher. And when I stop to think about these deaths of the children, I realize that it could be, even though I am so proud of the difference that I made in these children's lives that I taught for 30-some years, not only in this country, but out of this country, and I'm so proud to run into those students now grown and hear the difference I made in their lives, that if this were Gaza, it could be that every single one of those children would be dead. It could be that 28 years of teaching in Godwin Heights Public Schools, kindergarten, young 5s and 2nd graders, could be dead. It could be that when I taught in Grand Rapids Public Schools, especially the 2nd, 3rd grade, and 5th grade programs, science programs that we had in the days that we actually had funding, all of those children that I saw throughout the districts, every single school brought our kids to these programs. They could be dead. I taught at Blandford Nature Center, Howard Christensen Nature Center, Camp Optimist, Camp Manitoulin, Camp Kiwano. All of those kids could be dead. I taught Coopersville migrant programs and adult education. I also taught in Guatemala and New Orleans public schools. And all of those kids could be dead, and I wouldn't have made a difference. So I want people to think about that. Think about our own community, our own kids. And if we do not have a heart, it is going to come home and it's going to affect us. Bring that money to where it should be, to help life, not to profit from mass murder, death.
Thank you. All right, is there anyone else who wishes to be heard? All right, I'm going to close that public comment period, and I will turn to my colleagues, and I'll start down here with Commissioner Robbins.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'll start by saying, it's probably easy to sit on the other side of this dais and feel like there's a lack of emotion or humanity. But I'm no exception. I wake up every morning and watch the news, and I listen to my podcasts and hear about things going on all around the world. And it does, it's disheartening. I fully understand. But I do think that there is an important distinction that I want to make about varying levels of government and what we can do and what we can't do. And I recognize that probably the purview that we have as a body is not as far-reaching as many of you would hope. But I do hope you know that we as a body and myself remain committed to making sure that our community is a place that's safe and welcoming to all people. I know some people mentioned it tonight, contacting representatives at the federal level to talk about things that are going on at a global scale as it pertains to different conflicts. And so I hope that me encouraging you to continue to do that provides you a productive means to channel, emotions and thoughts about certain things. And just hope you know that, when it comes to our role and what we can do from this dais, we are committed to keeping our city safe and welcoming to all people. So with that, I hope you enjoy your night.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Sassi.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, thank you for those that came out. There was obviously a lot more people here when we started this meeting at 7 o'clock to this point at 10:15. I want to recognize, that folks came out tonight, that there was a lot of pain and trauma that was shared. I think other individuals shared that as well. I agree with what you said, Commissioner Robbins. Sometimes you're up here and you're really trying to listen, and you have flashes of those trauma pieces as well. I've talked to a lot of friends. I hope that people are taking care of themselves. The other day found somebody in my life was telling me, I feel like you're doom scrolling and you need to take a moment and do something else. And that doesn't mean that you forget, but that also means to take care of yourself, because I felt like I heard that tonight. I think sometimes in the middle of talking about, war and genocide, the literal realities of what's in front of us might not seem like the thing that people want to hear. But I do think it is important to highlight that this is not the dollars that are being asked are not city dollars that we are sending directly to Israel. I absolutely feel like I need to say that because just this afternoon I talked about misinformation in another meeting, and I don't want to assume that. I don't want to assume that. I heard that today, and I want to clarify that. There are taxes that we all pay, and this is not a reallocation of a budget. These are not things that we are deciding that we can go and change. And I also think it's important to say that clearly if we can. And so I feel like I can. We are a local government, a nonpartisan body that is elected under a charter that has a very specific focus on the issues that we have purview and control over. We don't have authority over global and military affairs. While Commissioner Robbins talked about, I certainly think many of us are watching these pieces, understanding how it affects our global economy. And so I don't know that for me, it's not a decision about humanity or right or wrong or what I personally believe as an individual and what I feel, but what I think is my responsibility and the oath that I took and what I need to uphold and the governance structure that I am a part of today. And then lastly, I would just say, I heard at least one person call for, no acts of Islamophobia or anti-Semitism in our community, and I can't agree with that more. And while there are some of us, up here that are not here today, and we all are individuals and we come together as a body, I feel very confident in saying that no one around this body, no one in city government wants to see that as well. And that's why we have been on the forefront of trying to recognize how to reduce hate in our community. The one thing that I think we do have purview over is our, Grand Rapids, our human rights ordinance, which is absolutely important to protecting individuals' identity, religion, beliefs, and again, I think that is what is in our purview today. So thank you all for coming. Thanks those they're here. There was a lot of other things that we did today that are part of our local government, and I appreciate all those that put effort into putting these agenda items together. Have a good evening.
Thanks. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Moody?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I concur with both of my colleagues this evening, and I do sympathize with everything that was said this evening as well. War is not the most exciting thing in the world that any of us want to be engaged in. I am not happy with what I see. However, there are approximately 35 wars in Africa at this point in time with many different countries, and no one seems to be talking about the genocide that's taking place over there. However, in terms of reading and understanding our city government, I have not seen one document or seen anything that has been written about the city of Grand Rapids giving $2.8 million to fund this war for Israel. I don't know where that information is coming from. I heard it for the first time tonight from those of you that were here. I know there will be some clarification coming up very soon in a few minutes by our city manager, but I have no idea as to what this $2.8 million is talking about. Have a great evening. God bless all of you.
Thank you, Commissioner. City Clerk?
Yeah, just briefly, we had a very successful election last Tuesday. It's hard to believe it's last Tuesday already for the GRPS millage. Thank you to all the community members who serve as election workers, city staff that collaborates with the clerk's office to pull off successful elections. The turnout was about 16%, which is a lot higher than our normal 10% that we usually have for turnout for like just a single school type issue election, and probably 2 to 1 it was absentee voting. So the work that was done between the passing of proposal 3 of 2018, which gave no reason AVs, and then what's going to be happening coming forward. This morning the commission approved voting sites for early voting, so stay tuned for that, where those early voting sites are, and it's a new process, and so we're always looking for more help as well. For if you're interested in being part of this democratic process, sign up to be an election worker.
Thank you. City Attorney? City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Commissioners, for your work today, and the staff for all the work that has been done. I just would like to highlight a few things from today in terms of things that move our community forward, beginning with this morning's approval of the contract with Grand Rapids Community College that will allow us to not only increase staffing in public safety, but also hopefully have more diverse recruiting in the ranks, as well as I appreciate the collaboration with the Community Media Center so that we can continue to promote education information to the public, as well as the update at today's Public Safety Committee meeting where we heard a lot about what's being done to make sure that we're able to keep everyone safe in situations of crisis and crisis negotiations, but also the briefing today on supporting the unhoused community, particularly with the rapid rehousing and bridge building that we heard with community rebuilders as we look in implementing the new ordinances. Also, heard a lot about a discussion for veterans, and I do want to thank and wish all those veterans happy Veterans Day. Was part of the opening of Hass Hart Cafe at Veterans Memorial Park this past week, and celebrating that as a place for space and conversation, much like we talked about today. And the staff, in addition to this meeting, was in the second ward today for the continued conversation for the community master plan. And hopefully those of you who are here tonight can attend the meetings both tomorrow night as well as Thursday night in the in the first and third ward. I would like to comment on the funding for the military budget in Israel, and while I agree with a lot of the comments that were shared for the dais, I do want to confirm that within the City of Grand Rapids budget, there is no allocation for any money that goes directly to any form of military government, whether it's domestic or foreign. What I think people were referencing was a study or some type of analysis that was done by the U.S. Campaign for Palestinian Rights that looked at how much money was given by the U.S. government to Israel for military operations in some type of pro rata allocation per citizen. And so you just take that overall number, what it is per citizen, and you multiply it by how many citizens in Grand Rapids. And I think that's how that $2.8 million was determined. So while that may be a way of estimating what the impact would be, and certainly any citizen, and even as you've said, other communities may have passed resolutions on ceasefires, you certainly can advocate and to legislators to reduce military spending overall the federal government, but the city of Grand Rapids does not have direct appropriation over military budgets. So I wanted to clarify that, and it's very unfortunate so many people certainly can come and very passionate ask for ceasefire, but I'm saddened that many have walked away tonight perhaps with that understanding and may continue to believe that. So wish everyone a good night.
Thank you. Thanks, City Manager. Thanks for clarifying that. That was on my list as well, and I appreciate you doing that. And, I'll just say a couple final comments and echo a lot of what my colleagues said. There are many things that I share with a lot of the people who spoke tonight, and I appreciate everyone who took time to come and speak. Every single one of us, every day, we're watching the suffering unfold in front of us, and the pain and the tragedy and the devastation, and how could anyone not be moved? How could anyone not cry when they see innocent people dying? I think we all stand and say that we condemn the killing of innocent people and children. Every single one of us. Every single one of us. And we're all, I think, at times even in shock of what we're seeing and what we've seen over the last several weeks. And it is hard to grapple with. And so I appreciate people coming to share their pain with us and know that we share it too. I mean, quite frankly, how could you not? But I do want to also be really clear that, as the city manager said, someone said that we have a budget allocation, that they hope that we, don't support a budget allocation. We do not have a budget allocation. The federal government collects federal taxes, and we are not congressmen and women. We are not U.S. senators. The federal government can go in debt. We cannot. We have to pass a balanced budget. And we do advocate every single day for state and federal funding to support the needs of people in our community and issues that we are struggling with right here. We do advocate for federal funding for environmental sustainability and infrastructure and replacing lead pipes and lead abatement in homes and housing and homelessness. And we work with HUD and we work with MSHDA. There are things that we work in partnership with our federal partners with every day to try to make sure that we're getting resources back here in this community for people who are in need. And we heard a lot of that tonight as well. And we know people are struggling here. And a lot of what we do around this table is directly trying to impact and improve the quality of life for people who call Grand Rapids home. And last, I'll just put an exclamation mark on what some of my colleagues said as well. Across this country, we have seen an increase in hate crimes, and we are going to continue to do everything we can in partnership with community to make sure that Grand Rapids is a safe place for everyone, regardless of their faith, of the color of their skin, where they're from, if they're documented, if they are not. We want people to be safe here in this community, and that's what we'll continue to do. So with that, I will adjourn this meeting and hope you all get home safely. We're adjourned.